Chapter 722. To sound out no, I can't take the risk. Ling Hu thought about it and still felt that he couldn't take such a big risk. Testing Ning Yu was not a joke. If he failed, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. After all, Chang Kuan's miserable state was still fresh in their minds. F***ck, you're the one who said we can't sit still and wait for death. You're the one who said we can't take risks. What the F***ck are you trying to do? Ling Han was furious. Originally, he had planned to personally test Ning Yu, but after Ling Hu's actions, he decided to wait and see. Who cared what the F***ck Ling Hu would do? In any case, he would not make a move again. Perhaps he had sensed Ling Han's anger, so Ling Hu hurriedly said, "What I mean is, there is no need for us to take the risk. Even if we do need to take the risk, we should let the martial artists of Danwu College take our place." Ling Han raised an eyebrow and said coldly, "Martial artists from Danwu College are substituting? Look at how scared these people are. You want them to test Ning Yu? Are you playing with snakes? Hehe, you don't have to worry about that. Naturally, there will be people willing to do it." Ling Hu smiled as if he had everything planned out. In the next moment, Ling Hu moved his feet and walked straight into the crowd. Ling Hu's speed was not slow, and he soon appeared in front of a martial artist who was half a step into the manifestation realm. Ling Hu did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. "Chang Wei, do you want to control Danwu College? Do you want to avenge your brother?" "Of course I want to avenge my big brother." In fact, when Tsun Tokishi saw Ling Hu walking towards him, he already felt that something was amiss. However, he had no other choice now. He could only bite the bullet and say, "Senior Blood God, Ning Yu must be pretending to be weak. In my opinion, the two of you should attack as soon as possible and kill Ning Yu. Hehe, our Blood God Palace has a merciful heart. How about this, I'll leave the task of killing Ning Yu to you." Ling Hu smiled faintly, "I promise you, as long as you get rid of Ning Yu, from today onwards, not only will Danwu College have the surname Chang, even the entire Dacia kingdom will have the surname Chang. The old fox wants to kill me with a borrowed knife." Tsun Tokishi cursed in his heart, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he said hesitantly, "Senior Blood God, I'm only half a step into the manifestation state. Even if I want to kill Ning Yu, I don't have the strength to do so. You don't have to worry about that. As long as you show signs of weakness, we will help you immediately." Ling Hu waved his hand and said, "In any case, we will be your strongest shield. Let me try." Tsun Takei took a deep breath and decided to give it a try. However, Tsun Tokishi was not that stupid. He did not attack alone. Instead, he said in a clear voice, "Chang Kuan was mercilessly killed by Ning Yu. We cannot do nothing. We have to do something to comfort Chang Kuan's soul in heaven. Mother ****. As soon as Chang Kuan said that, a middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm elder berated, "The current situation is confusing. From the looks of it, Ning Yu and the senior from the Blood God Palace are evenly matched, and neither of them can do anything to the other. You want us to attack Ning Yu? Have you lost your mind?" Swoosh. The middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm elder's undisguised words made Tsun Takei's face extremely gloomy. He was on the verge of exploding in anger. Someone actually called him a retard. An aunt could tolerate it, but an uncle could not. What if he could not tolerate it? With Tsun Takei's personality, of course, he would fight back. Tsun Takei did the same. He dashed out and instantly appeared next to the middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm elder. Slap, 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 slap. His hands moved back and forth, and every slap that landed on the middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm elder's face made a crisp sound. "Don't say that I didn't remind you. Since you chose Chang Kuan and me, you should be prepared." Tsun Takei's tone was cold as he looked around and said coldly, "Listen to my orders. Everyone, do your best to kill Ning Yu. Hold on." Tsun Takei was furious. It seemed like there was always someone who opposed him. As soon as he gave the order, someone behind him said, "Hold on." Tsun Takei was furious. He wanted to see who was brave enough to stop him in front of so many people. Ning Yu. Tsun Takei was dumbfounded when he saw who it was, and his arrogance was instantly extinguished. The person who stopped him was none other than Ning Yu. At this moment, Ningyu held the blood-red flying sword in his hand and said lightly, "We are all from Danwu College and work for Danwu College. My idea is very simple. No matter what you have done in the past to harm Danwu College, as long as you repent now and choose to work together against the outsiders, I can let bygones be bygones. This, in my opinion, we should stand with Ningyu." That's right. Ningyu has the dean, the patriarch of the imperial family, and 2 half-step manifestation demon beasts. That's right. We should stand with Ningyu. Swoosh. Ningyu's words turned the situation around. In an instant, the number of elders behind Tsun Takei was reduced by more than half, leaving only a few who stood firm. Good, very good. Ningyu, I admire you. Tsun Takei's gaze was cold as he smirked sinisterly. Didn't you notice that those are all yin-yang elders? All the elders who are half a step into the manifestation realm are with me. Of course, I know that you have 3 half-step manifestation martial artists on your side. Ningyu was unconcerned and said indifferently, with a royal-grade flying sword in hand, half-step manifestation martial artists are nothing to me. Arrogant. Attack. Tsun Takei's gaze turned cold as he berated. Swoosh. 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 As Tsun Takei's berating voice rang out, the 3 half-step manifestation martial artists behind him rose from the ground and charged at Ningyu at an astonishing speed. Ha ha ha, 3 half-step manifestation martial artists. Ningyu, 1 for each of us. Suddenly, a loud laugh rang out in the area. Then, the space beside Ningyu surged, and 2 yin-yang intermediate stage martial artists appeared. No, it should be 2 yin-yang intermediate stage dogs. Dark Emperor, have you recovered to your peak state? Ningyu asked in confusion when he saw the Dark Emperor appear. Let's not talk about that for now. Let's deal with these half-step manifestation martial artists first. The Dark Emperor hemmed and hawed as he pushed Ningyu away. Then, he took the lead and charged towards the nearest half-step manifestation realm martial artist. What's going on? What the F***CK? The Dark Emperor's actions puzzled Ningyu. He probed his spatial ring with his senses. It would have been fine if he did not look, but the moment he did, he was so furious that his lungs were about to explode. Within half an hour, the Dark Emperor had completely devoured all the sacred chi that the flower bud had devoured. No wonder the Dark Emperor had recovered to his peak state so quickly. Woof woof. Just as Ningyu was fuming, Furball barked at him and dashed out. Solitaire. Chapter 723. Chapter 723, A Conspiracy Rumble. The moment Ningyu shouted in a low voice, a shocking sword wave separated from the Red Devil's body and headed straight for an elder who was half a step into the manifestation realm. Although the solitaire could not pose a threat to a manifestation realm martial artist, it was still very powerful against a half-step manifestation realm martial artist. Tsun Tokishi, what are you standing there for? Do you think those 3 muggles can kill Ningyu? In the distance, Ling Hu saw that Tsun Tokishi had no intention of attacking. He shouted angrily, "Hurry up and attack. Otherwise, everything I've said before will be for naught. You keep asking me to attack. Why aren't you guys attacking?" Tsun Tokishi was also afraid of death. Without absolute confidence, he did not want to fight Ningyu head-on. Moreover, even though his strength was slightly stronger than the 3 elders, it wasn't by much. This time, Tsun Tokishi decided to be stubborn and pretend that he did not hear Ling Hu. Damn it. Tsun Tokishi's reaction made Ling Hu very angry. Although he was angry, Ling Hu had no choice but to wait. Boom. In the air, Ningyu and the rest were already fighting with the 3 half-step manifestation realm elders. How is that white dog so powerful? It has been suppressing Elder Li the entire time. The black dog is not weak either. It is almost on par with Elder Zhong. Are we not even comparable to a dog? You don't say, we really are not even comparable to a dog. Quick, look at Ningyu. Originally, many of the elders were comparing themselves to a dog. However, the last elder's words attracted their attention to Ningyu. In the air, Ningyu held a blood-red flying sword in his hand and was locked in battle with the half-step manifestation realm elders. What's going on? Although Elder Who is only 1 step away from advancing to the early stage manifestation realm, Ningyu has killed a middle-stage manifestation realm black-robed martial artist before. Why can't he kill Elder Hu now? Ningyu is playing with fire. Playing with fire is impossible. According to my guess, Ningyu doesn't want to kill Elder Hu. He wants to give Elder Hu a chance to turn over a new leaf, explained an elder at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. Poochie. Suddenly, the elder's eyes widened as he stood rooted to the ground. Because he saw that in mid-air, Ningyu stabbed out with his sword. Without any deviation, it pierced right into Elder Hu's heart. Thump. With his heart pierced, Elder Hu couldn't even hold on for a second before he fell to the ground, dead on the spot. Hua. Elder Hu's tragic death caused a huge uproar in the surroundings, and everyone was talking about it. Puff. Puff. However, before Elder Hu's tragic death could cause too much of a reaction, two more voices rang out in the area. This time, all the elders were dumbfounded. In just a few minutes, the three elders who were half a step into the manifestation realm were all killed. None of them were spared. If Ningyu's domineering killing of the Blood God Palace's middle-stage manifestation realm martial artist, as well as Chang Kuan's killing, caused many of the Danwu Academy's elders to exclaim in surprise, then the Dark Emperor and Furball, these two dogs, displayed such powerful strength, caused many of the elders to exclaim in admiration. After killing Elder Hu, Ningyu casually threw the red demon sword into his storage ring and said calmly, "Tsun Tokishi, I gave you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Don't blame me then." Me. Do you think you can compete with me after killing 3 pieces of trash? You're too naive. Tsun Tokishi snorted coldly. Ningyu, leave this old man to me and Furball. Before Ningyu could speak, the Dark Emperor stood on its hind legs and put its front paws behind its back, looking like an old man. In the future, you don't need to deal with these cats and dogs. Furball and I can deal with them for you. Woof woof. Furball barked twice to show its agreement with the Dark Emperor. F*CK, 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 F*CK. You're already with the Dark Emperor. As expected, people who aren't from the same family are from the same family. Ningyu was a little speechless. Furball, a pure puppy, was actually led astray by the Dark Emperor. How hateful. Dark Emperor, why the F*CK are you still standing there for? Didn't you say you would kill Tsun Tokishi for me? Ningyu kicked the Dark Emperor's butt and said angrily. Heh. I did say that I would help you kill Tsun Tokishi. However, you should at least show me some goodwill. You have to give me some benefits, right? The Dark Sovereign did not get angry after Ningyu kicked him in the butt. Instead, he chuckled. 1 Shenyang pill. Ningyu stuck out a finger and said, "Don't bargain with me, or I will kill Tsun Tokishi myself." The reason why Ningyu did not kill Tsun Tokishi himself was because he did not want to expose himself. After all, Ling Hu and Ling Han were martial artists at the peak of the early stage of the manifestation realm. Their senses were very strong. As long as Ningyu showed an opening, Ling Hu and Ling Han would definitely attack without hesitation. Ningyu turned to look at the silver-winged dragon and the others and murmured, 15 more minutes. As long as we hold on for 15 more minutes, the silver-winged dragon and the others will completely recover to their peak condition. Deal. The Dark Emperor knew Ningyu's temper and knew that Ningyu would not relent no matter how much he tried. Instead of wasting time here, it was better to kill Tsun Tokishi first to prevent any unforeseen circumstances. Furball, it's time to show your real skills. The Dark Emperor smiled at Furball and then charged at Tsun Tokishi first. Damn it. Tsun Tokishi cursed in his mind as he looked at the black and white dogs that were closing in on him. He then dashed forward. Shua. However, Tsun Tokishi had only advanced a meter when he suddenly turned around and flew towards Ling Hu and Ling Han. Senior Blood God, please help me get rid of these 2 damn dogs. Tsun Tokishi shouted as he ran. Get rid of my *s, think of a way yourself. Ling Hu did not care about Tsun Tokishi's life or death. He scolded, if you dare to come any closer, don't blame me for being rude. F*CK, even if you want me to die, I won't let you have it easy. Ling Hu's inhumanity caused Tsun Tokishi to be extremely furious. Shio. In the next instant, Tsun Tokishi's hands tore through the void and directly entered. Soon Tokishi appeared in front of Ling Hu. Seeing Tokishi run to Ling Hu's side, Ningyu still felt that something was wrong, and hurriedly shouted, "Dark Emperor, Furball, hurry up and come back. Let them fight each other." Ningyu's warning was obviously a beat too late. Tokishi's lips curled up, revealing a sinister smile. Two stupid dogs, as expected, terrifyingly stupid. Just as Tokishi finished speaking, two figures dashed past him. Peng! Peng! These two figures were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had arrived beside the Dark Emperor and Furball. Then, two fists that were imbued with violent origin energy slammed into the Dark Emperor and Furball's chests. The massive force from their chests caused the Dark Emperor and Furball's bodies to plummet backward like kites with their strings cut. Pu. The Dark Emperor spat out two mouthfuls of blood in succession. His aura was extremely weak, and he felt as if he was about to die. Although Furball was slightly better off than the Dark Emperor, he was also severely wounded, and his aura had dropped to freezing point. Ningyu, these two dogs that you've raised are indeed stupid. Ling Hu stood in midair with his hands clasped behind his back, and calmly said. Chapter 724. Powerful Techniques. Two Dead Dogs. Looks like I'll be able to have a feast of dog meat tonight. When Ling Hu said this, Ningyu's expression darkened. From a certain perspective, the Dark Emperor and Furball could no longer be considered dogs. They were Ningyu's brothers. Now that Ling Hu wanted to eat Ningyu's brothers, Ningyu would naturally not agree. Senior Silver-Winged Dragon, it's time to act. Although less than an hour had passed, Ningyu could not allow the Dark Emperor and the others to be in danger. Even if the Silver-Winged Dragon and the others had not recovered to their peak, they had to act now. Fight. The Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin Horns Beast knew Ningyu's temper. Moreover, they had recovered about 80% of their strength, so it was not a bad idea to act now. Shua. Shua. With a low shout, the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin Horns Beast charged out. Ha ha ha, good timing. Facing the two demonic beasts that were half a step into manifestation realm, Ling Hu and Ling Han exchanged a look, then faced the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin Horns Beast, one on the left and one on the right. Boom. 4 elites, 2 battlefields. A great battle broke out instantly. Although Ling Hu's cultivation was higher than the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin-Horned Beast, the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin-Horned Beast were not pushovers. Although they were at a disadvantage, the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin Horns Beast held on. At least, they would not lose in a short period of time. Ouyang Lun, kill Tokishi. Ningyu was glad that the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin Horns Beast could hold on. Ningyu did not expect the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin Horns Beast to kill Ling Hu and Ling Han. As long as they could hold on for a few minutes, it would be enough. Don't worry, leave Tokishi to me. Ouyang Lun heard Ningyu's order and dashed out, appearing in front of Tokishi in an instant. Ouyang Lun, you can't kill me. Do you want to provoke a war between the Imperial family and Danwu College? When Tokishi saw Ouyang Lun appear in front of him in the blink of an eye, his pupils weakened, and even his voice trembled. Reincarnate into a good body in your next life. You can only blame yourself for offending someone you shouldn't have. Ouyang Lun would certainly not dare to disobey Ningyu. Furthermore, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill Tokishi with his strength. Whoosh! While Ouyang Lun was killing Tokishi with all his might, Ningyu tore through the void and arrived beside the Dark Sovereign and Furball. Seeing that the Dark Emperor and the others were about to speak, Ningyu stopped them and said in a solemn voice, "Don't speak. Go into the storage ring to recuperate first. I'll leave all of the holy chi that the flower bud has devoured until you've recovered to your peak state." Ningyu was never stingy when dealing with his own people. Putting aside the holy chi produced by the flower bud, even if he had to abandon the flower bud to cure the Dark Emperor and Furball, Ningyu would not even bat an eyelid. Shio. The Dark Emperor knew Ningyu's character, so he did not stand on ceremony with Ningyu. He grabbed Furball, turned into a shadow, and entered the storage ring. After making arrangements for the Dark Emperor and Furball, Ningyu gripped the red demon sword tightly with both hands. He first looked at Ouyang Lun's battlefield, then stomped on the ground and flew toward the other side of the battlefield. It was only a matter of time before Ouyang Lun killed Tsun Tokishi. Ningyu definitely did not want to waste time with him. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were much more dangerous. In just a few minutes, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast had already shown signs of weakness. If there were no more forces to join the battle, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast would be defeated sooner or later. Ningyu, let me. The reason why Mu Feng did not make a move earlier was because he was preparing his ultimate move. When Ningyu made his move, he had just finished preparing his ultimate move. You go help the twin-horned beast, I'll help the silver-winged dragon. Ningyu did not know that Mu Feng was preparing his ultimate move. After he said this, he immediately joined the silver-winged dragon's battlefield. The martial artist fighting the silver-winged dragon was Ling Hu. At this time, Ling Hu was suppressing the silver-winged dragon in all aspects, suppressing it until it could not breathe. Whoosh! Just as the silver-winged dragon was about to collapse, Ningyu suddenly joined the battle. Ningyu, this old dog is stronger, already infinitely close to the middle stage of the manifestation realm. Be careful. Ningyu's participation in the battle allowed the silver-winged dragon to breathe a sigh of relief. However, the silver-winged dragon did not dare to be careless. After all, Ling Hu's cultivation was at the peak of the early stage of the manifestation realm, only a step away from the middle stage of the manifestation realm. In this state, Ling Hu could even fight a middle-stage martial artist for hundreds of rounds without being defeated. Silver-winged dragon, let me sit on your back. Ningyu's words were simple and clear, without the slightest hesitation. Come up. Although the silver-winged dragon did not know what Ningyu was planning, it knew that Ningyu must have his reasons for doing this. Moreover, Ningyu was holding a royal-grade flying sword in his hand. And this royal-grade flying sword would be the key to killing Ling Hu. Ningyu did not hesitate, both feet stepped on the ground, and in an instant, swept onto the back of the silver-winged dragon. Buzz buzz. Then, the silver-winged dragon tore through the void, directly disappearing. Hee, competing with me in the art of space? You're still too inexperienced. The disappearance of Ningyu and the silver-winged dragon did not make Ling Hu too worried. Ling Hu's hands reached deep into his clothes, and took out a jade bottle with green liquid. Crack! The jade bottle shattered, and Ling Hu smeared the liquid in the bottle on his eyelids. Blood god's palm. The first thing Ling Hu did when he opened his eyes was to form a seal with both hands, and sent out a shocking palm print. Poochie. The palm print had only traveled 3 meters when it seemed to have collided with something, and dark red blood splattered in midair. Under the vision of the spiritual liquid, you have nowhere to hide. Ling Hu let out a sinister laugh as he sent out another palm strike. Fut fut fut. Every time Ling Hu sent out a palm, there would be a spurt of dark red blood spurting out from the void. After a few palm strikes, the void in the area was almost dyed red with blood. Ha ha ha. Ling Hu was very satisfied with his palm print. He threw his head back and laughed. Ningyu, I thought you were powerful. Who would have thought that you're just a wax figure with a silver spear? Nice to look at but useless. Is that so? However, just as Ling Hu's laughter faded, his pupils constricted, and he quickly turned his head around. Buzz buzz. Behind Ling Hu, a figure slowly appeared. This figure was slightly thin, and in his hand was a blood-red flying sword. On the body of the sword, there was a violent fluctuation of yuan qi. Impossible. How could you hide from my spiritual liquid? Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Ling Hu's mouth was slightly open, and his face was full of confusion. In his eyes, which were smeared with the spiritual liquid, he did not see Ningyu appear behind him. In other words, Ningyu had hidden from the detection of the spiritual liquid. I forgot to tell you that my attainments in aura concealment are much greater than my attainments in spatial techniques, said Ningyu indifferently. Wait. Why are there no injuries on your body? Then, Ling Hu still could not believe his eyes, and he pointed at the blood mist in the void and shouted. Chapter 725. The same way vroom vroom. In midair, a large creature broke through the blood mist and gradually emerged. This large creature was covered in blood. Even its fur was dyed red. Silver-winged dragon. Ling Hu knew the true identity of this large creature. It was the silver-winged dragon that he was battling. The silver-winged dragon's pitiful state indicated that all his attacks had landed on the silver-winged dragon and not on Ning Yu. Ling Hu, in order to fool you, the silver-winged dragon risked being killed by you to buy time for me. Your death is not in vain. Ning Yu held the red magic sword in his hand and dashed out. No, Ning Yu, you cannot kill me. Ah. Looking at the approaching Ning Yu and the blood-red flying sword in Ning Yu's hand, Ling Hu's pupils constricted as he screamed. Poochie. However, the moment Ling Hu shouted, he let out a hysterical scream. Ning Yu held the red magic sword in his hand and pierced Ling Hu's heart. With his heart pierced, Ling Hu only struggled for a moment before he stopped breathing. Red magic, you know what to do. To prevent any unforeseen circumstances, Ning Yu looked at the red magic sword in his hand and tossed it away. Swoosh. The red magic sword seemed to understand Ning Yu's words. It first nodded at Ning Yu like a human before it flashed and pierced Ling Hu's heart again. This time, the red magic sword demonstrated its powerful devouring ability. In the blink of an eye, Ling Hu was reduced to a skeleton like Chang Kuan not long ago. Hiss. Seeing Ling Hu's pitiful state, the surrounding elders gasped and started discussing. Even Ling Hu from the Blood God Temple was sucked dry. Chang Kuan's death was not unjust. Chang Kuan asked for it. Luckily we relied on Ning Yu long ago. Otherwise, we would have ended up like Chang Kuan and Ling Hu. That's right. This might be the best decision we've made recently. The crowd's discussion did not cause Ning Yu to stop for even a second. Ning Yu turned his head to look at Ouyang Lun's battlefield, and he couldn't help but frown. Logically speaking, if Ouyang Lun wanted to kill Tsun Tokashi, it would not be difficult at all. But after so long, Ouyang Lun still had not taken down Tsun Tokashi. Ning Yu coldly snorted and sent a soul message to Ouyang Lun, I'll give you 3 more minutes. If you can't kill Tsun Tokashi in 3 minutes, the consequences will be the same as Ling Hu. After saying this, Ning Yu ignored Ouyang Lun and joined the battle on Mu Feng's side. Damn it. Ouyang Lun's complexion turned ugly when he heard Ning Yu's cold words. The reason why he did not use his full strength to kill Tsun Tokashi was because he wanted to preserve some holy chi. But now, Ning Yu had seen through it. Ouyang Lun had no choice but to swallow the only jade bottle he had left. Voila! As soon as the jade bottle entered his stomach, Ouyang Lun's body exuded a powerful energy wave. What a waste of resources, forcing me to kill Tsun Tokashi in 3 minutes. Ouyang Lun did not dare to show his displeasure to Ning Yu, so he could only vent his anger on Tsun Tokashi. This time, Tsun Tokashi was doomed. He had been suppressed by Ouyang Lun in the first place, and now that Ouyang Lun's strength had increased, it was already certain that he would be killed. Hong Long. Ling Han's strength was slightly stronger than Ling Hu's. If there was a thin layer of paper between Ling Hu and the middle stage of the creation tier, then the gap between Ling Han and the middle stage of the creation tier was only a thin membrane. In other words, if Ling Han wanted to, he could even break through to the middle stage of the creation tier on the spot. Ha ha ha, you 2 pieces of trash want to kill me? I have to say, you 2 are thinking too much. Ling Han threw out a punch, and laughed madly. Ling Han, it's not that we're thinking too much, but you're thinking too much. Just as Ling Han was about to say something, Ning Yu sped over from afar, and said, if you continue to be stubborn, you'll end up like Ling Hu. Ling Hu! Hearing this, Ling Han raised an eyebrow, and hurriedly shifted his gaze to the other side. Seeing that Ling Hu was only left with a skeleton, Ling Han's expression instantly darkened, and all color drained from his face. If the 2 horned beasts and Headmaster Mu are no match for you, and with me on your side, what do you think your chances of winning are? Ning Yu continued, if you know what's good for you, surrender as soon as possible. That way, you'll still have a chance of survival. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is. Very well. At this moment, Ling Han suddenly calmed down, so calm that it was a little scary. There was no joy or sorrow on his face, as if Ling Hu's death had nothing to do with him. He said calmly, I originally didn't want to be so cruel, but since you 2 insist on forcing me, it looks like I have no other choice. Shua. As the last word fell, Ling Han flicked his sleeve, and a white alchemical pill instantly appeared in his hand. Ling Han did not hesitate, and directly put the alchemical pill into his mouth, and chewed. Peng! 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 As the alchemical pill entered his stomach, Ling Han felt as if he had been struck by something, and several muffled sounds came from his body. Not good, quickly stop him. Ling Han's condition caused Ningyu's expression to change greatly, and he hurriedly said, Ling Han wants to advance to the middle stage of creation tier, no matter what, we can't let him succeed. Otherwise, the consequences will be unthinkable. Pill Spirit Palm. Mu Feng's eyes shone brightly, and he gathered his spiritual power and origin chi on his wrist, and shot out a palm strike. Roar. The two horned beasts did not just sit and wait for death. He raised his head and roared, and instantly, an earth-shattering sound rang out, its penetrating power extremely loud. Palm of life and death. As for Ningyu, he did not remain idle, either. His wrist quickly formed a seal, and a blood-red palm print appeared. On the other side, old ancestor Ju Mo saw Ling Han's actions, and shouted loudly, Go, we must stop Ling Han. The numerous elders of Danwu College saw old ancestor Ju Mo make a move, and could only follow closely behind, joining the battle. With the addition of so many people, Ling Han was completely suppressed. Pu. In fact, Ling Han could not withstand the pressure of the numerous techniques and auras, and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Blood sacrifice technique. Ling Han naturally would not foolishly wait for death. He forcibly forced out a few drops of blood essence, and his hands grabbed at the air, and in the blink of an eye, shot out a palm print. Scattering wave palm. Hua la. As Ling Han shouted, the first palm print covered the blood essence that he had forced out, and attacked the others. However, after this palm print absorbed the blood essence, it split into two, 2 into 4, 4 into 5. In a short few seconds, the first palm print had become a total of several dozen. The target of each palm print was very clear, and they were all aimed at an elder of Danwu College. Pu, Pu, Pu. Even though the palm print had split into several dozen, its might could not be underestimated. None of the elders of Danwu College, including old ancestor Ju Mo, could dodge the palm print, and all of them were struck in the chest. Chapter 726. Strive to be a deserter rumble. Ling Han had just left when the void he was in was bombarded by the techniques of Ningyu and the others, and a series of explosions erupted. Kacha. At the same time, the void on the other side suddenly split open and a figure walked out. The figure seemed slow, but in an instant, it arrived in front of Ningyu. Sensing the powerful aura emanating from Ling Han, Ningyu's heart sank to the bottom. Middle stage of the blessed realm. Indeed, just as Ling Han had said, he had advanced to the middle stage of the creation tier. There was a huge difference between the middle stage of the creation realm and the early stage of the creation realm. It could be said that after advancing to the middle stage of the creation tier, Ling Han's battle prowess had at least doubled, or even more. The last time Ningyu had killed the black-robed cultivator in the middle stage of Fate tier, he had relied on the Emperor tier aura that had erupted from the red demon sword when it had advanced to Emperor tier. This time, if he wanted to kill Ling Han in the middle stage of Fate tier, it would be even more difficult than ascending to the heavens. Say something, aren't you arrogant? Why aren't you talking? Ling Han touched his forehead and made a pose that he thought was very handsome. He said, I've said before that the Blood God Palace won't kill innocent people. How about this? I'll give you a chance to live. At this point, Ling Han's eyes turned, as if he was thinking about what kind of opportunity he should give Ningyu. Suddenly, the corners of Ling Han's lips curled up into a sinister smile, and he said, kneel down, kowtow a few times, then lie down like a dog and walk one round around Danwu College. If you do that, I can consider sparing your dog life. Pa. Ling Han's mocking words were like a slap to his face, causing him to be on the verge of exploding with rage. He was already so arrogant after advancing to the middle stage of the creation realm. What would happen if he advanced to the late stage of the creation realm and advanced to the supremacy realm? Seeing that Ningyu didn't answer him, Ling Han immediately rose from the ground and charged straight at Ningyu. Yo, you're not willing, right? Whoosh. However, just as Ling Han was about to reach Ningyu's side, he suddenly changed his direction and charged towards the twin-horned beast. Seeing Ling Han charge towards it, the twin-horned beast's expression changed drastically, and it hurriedly retreated. However, Ling Han, who had advanced to the middle stage of the creation tier, was clearly much faster than before. The twin-horned beast was only a demonic beast half a step into the manifestation state. Naturally, it would not be able to escape his claws. Crack! In the next instant, a clear voice rang out in the area. Ah! Immediately after, the twin-horned beast let out a hysterical scream. The two horns, which had already been injured in the first place, were struck by Ling Han again, and directly broke into two halves. Damn it! Ning Yu clenched his fists tightly when he saw the miserable state of the twin-horned beast, trying to think of a countermeasure. However, just as Ning Yu was thinking of countermeasures, Ling Han attacked again. This time, Ling Han's target was not the two-horned beasts, but Mu Feng. Ling Han also knew that Ning Yu was the most difficult to deal with, so he decided to deal with the twin-horned beast and Mu Feng first. Finally, he would compete with Ning Yu. Ling Han's idea gave Ning Yu plenty of time to think. If Ling Han killed Ning Yu right from the start, then Ning Yu would definitely not be able to hold on for long. His ending would definitely be even more miserable than the twin-horned beasts. Crack! At first, Mu Feng still wanted to block, but Ling Han did not give him the chance. Mu Feng did not even see how Ling Han had attacked. His knees were kicked, and he knelt on the ground. Ning Yu, how was it? Was it very exciting? Ling Han asked sinisterly after heavily injuring the twin-horned beast and Mu Feng. Very exciting, indeed very exciting. Ning Yu took a deep breath and said calmly, if you think you can kill me like this, I can tell you that you are too naive. Ha ha ha. Ling Han looked as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He threw his head back and laughed loudly. Then, his tone changed, and he said coldly, just because of what you said, I will kill you, and then cut off the flesh on your body piece by piece. I will let you have a good time. If you want to kill Ning Yu, you must first pass through me. At this moment, a figure approached from afar, and in the blink of an eye, arrived beside Ning Yu. I was wondering who it was. So it is the ancestor of the imperial family, Ouyang Lun. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, Ling Han smiled calmly, and said, don't worry, I will satisfy your request. As the word request fell, Ling Han's body gradually disappeared, merging into the void. After 0.1 second, Ling Han appeared on Ouyang Lun's left. Peng! Ling Han's attack was extremely fast. Ouyang Lun did not even have time to react before he was hit in the shoulder, and his body fell straight back. At first, Ouyang Lun's domineering appearance gave the elders of Danwu College a misconception. After all, Mu Feng and the two-horned beasts had been defeated, and Ouyang Lun dared to challenge Ling Han, so he most likely had some ability. Who would have thought that Ouyang Lun would be defeated in one move, and completely defeated? An embroidered pillow that looks good but is useless. Ling Han curled his lips, turned around to look at Ning Yu, and said, there is a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it, and there is no door to hell, yet you insist on barging in. Looks like I have to make you pay the price. Kneel down like a dog. Wait, don't pretend. Actually, I'm not afraid of you. Ning Yu waved his hand, interrupting Ling Han's words, and said calmly, your cultivation level is only slightly higher than mine. In other aspects, there is no difference between us. Oh, no difference. Ling Han did not get angry, and instead smiled evilly, and said, you are indeed very arrogant. It's not that I'm arrogant, but you really don't have the ability. Ning Yu curled his lips, and said, do you dare to exchange a palm strike with me? Are you sure you want to exchange a palm strike with me? Ling Han did not know what he was captivated by. He pondered for a moment, and then agreed to Ning Yu's strange request. Life and death palm. Ling Han had just agreed to Ning Yu's request when Ning Yu flipped his wrist, and a violent fluctuation of origin chi was instantly pushed out. F***CK. As expected, you have some skill, no wonder you want to exchange a palm strike with me. Feeling the origin chi contained in Ning Yu's palm, Ling Han's heart became a little heavy. Because he discovered that the origin chi in Ning Yu's palm was enough to match an ordinary half-step creation tier, or even an early-stage creation tier martial artist. Although Ling Han's heart was a little heavy, that was all. He did not believe that Ning Yu could contend against him. Blood God's palm. Just when Ning Yu was 20 centimeters away from Ling Han's right fist turned into a palm and directly pushed out. Ling Han was also afraid that Ning Yu would play some kind of trick, so he used 100% of his strength in this palm strike. In Ling Han's opinion, a palm strike with all his strength could even kill an early-stage creation tier martial artist, not to mention Ning Yu. Kai. Because the palm strike was fast, the friction between Ling Han's palm and the void created a kai sound. Ning Yu actually dared to exchange a palm strike with Ling Han. Could it be that he has some trump card? I'm not sure, maybe he has a trump card. Trump card my ass. According to my estimation, Ning Yu will definitely be killed. In the crowd, an elder at the peak stage of Yin-Yang tier shouted in a low voice, "We can't wait for death like idiots. We'd better leave the Forbidden Land, leave Danwu College, leave the capital, run as far as we can. Yes, let's go quickly. It'll be too late if we're late, we can't die without knowing why." Hooah. Chapter 727. Pill Cavern Key. Chapter 727. Pill Cavern. I'll see who dares to leave. Seeing that the elders wanted to leave the forbidden area, Mu Feng immediately shouted, "This is a moment of life and death for Danwu College. If anyone dares to leave, don't blame me for being impolite." Sure. The elders originally planned to leave, but after hearing Mu Feng's shout, they could only stay where they were. Chang Wei and Chang Kuan were already killed, and now Mu Feng was the strongest person in Danwu College. Of course, he was the strongest person apart from Ning Yu. These elders' roots were in Danwu College, so leaving now was indeed the most unwise choice. At this moment, not far away, Ning Yu and Ling Han's palms touched. The two palms collided with a muffled sound. Poochie. Then, Ning Yu felt a sweetness in his throat, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. "Ning Yu, I thought you'd have some trump card if you took the initiative to exchange palms with me. So it's the same silver spear and wax head, pretty but useless." Seeing Ning Yu's miserable state, Ling Han laughed sinisterly. "Is that so?" Ning Yu used his other hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, and revealed a sinister smile. For some reason, seeing Ning Yu's smile, Ling Han's heart skipped a beat, and he faintly felt that something was wrong. Pretentious. Although he was a little worried, Ling Han didn't show it. He said coldly, "Since you refuse to come to your senses, I've decided to tear you into pieces." As soon as the word pieces fell, Ling Han's wrist suddenly exerted force, and an extremely powerful wave of origin chi gushed out from his palm and entered Ning Yu's palm. Pu. Whenever origin chi entered Ning Yu's palm, Ning Yu would spit out a mouthful of blood. In a short few seconds, a total of a dozen waves of origin chi gushed out from Ling Han's palm. In other words, Ning Yu spat out a total of a dozen mouthfuls of blood. Fortunately, Ning Yu's physique wasn't weak, or else the dozen mouthfuls of blood would be enough to weaken him. Is that enough? As if the dozen mouthfuls of blood on the ground did not belong to Ning Yu still let out a chilling voice. "Not enough." "No, you?" Ling Han stopped subconsciously when he heard Ning Yu's words. However, Ling Han quickly came to his senses. He raised his head and looked at the ferocious Ning Yu. His pupils constricted and his face was filled with disbelief. "It's my turn now." Ning Yu took a deep breath and exerted some force in his palm. Shio. In the next instant, a small branch shot out from Ning Yu's sleeves and charged toward Ling Han's palm at an astonishing speed. The branch was plain and ordinary. The only difference was that there was a flower bud at its end. Whoosh. The speed of the tree branch was extremely fast. Before Ling Han could even react, the tree branch had already burrowed into his wrist. Then, it continued to advance, and in 0.01 seconds, it had arrived at his shoulder. Damn it! Ling Han had not thought that Ning Yu would have such a trump card. He hurriedly struggled out of Ning Yu's palm and channeled a technique to force the tree branch out of his body. Ling Han, to tell you the truth, the tree branch in your body is a branch of the world tree. With your cultivation level, It is impossible for you to force it out. Ning Yu chuckled bitterly, and sent a voice transmission to Ling Han. You should just obediently enjoy it. It won't be long before you become a skeleton like Ling Hu. A branch of the world tree. When he heard that the tree branch in his body was a branch of the world tree, Ling Han's pupils constricted, and an expression of despair appeared on his face. He was not afraid of the branch of the world tree. What he was most afraid of was the branch blossoming. He could feel a powerful devouring power surging out from the flower bud and rampaging through his body. Ning Yu was right. If he did not do something, he would definitely be sucked dry before long. Abandon my arm. In the blink of an eye, Ling Han made a decision. Sever his arm. By the looks of it now, this was the only method that could save Ling Han's life. Everything else was useless. You want to abandon your arm? How could it be so simple? A smile spread across Ning Yu's face, and he said loudly, Red Demon, if you don't act now, when will you? In fact, when he heard Ning Yu's words, Ling Han had already realized the severity of the problem. However, he still had a sliver of hope, and so he still used his full strength to sever his right arm. Pu. Ling Han had just severed his right arm when a red figure darted out from his chest, landing in front of him in the blink of an eye. Ling Han looked at the red figure in front of him, and stretched out a hand to point. He wanted to say something, yet he felt a sharp pain from his heart. Ling Han lowered his head to look at the fist-sized hole in his chest, his expression filled with terror. What Ling Han was afraid of was yet to come. The branch of the world tree that had entered his body through his wrist had already taken root in his stomach. That flower bud continued to absorb nutrients from his body, and in a short minute, it had already doubled in size, looking like it was about to bloom. Ling Han definitely wouldn't allow the flower bud to bloom on his body. He stretched out his left hand, and forcefully grabbed the flower bud, wanting to pull it off. Pu. However, Ling Han's hand had just grabbed the flower bud when his eyes rolled back, and his body directly fell backward. When Ling Han's body fell backward, everyone could clearly see that his originally full body gradually became thin and weak. From the time he fell backward to the time he landed on the ground, it was a distance of 90 degrees. It was as if he had been hollowed out, and only a skeleton was left. Shua. If Ning Yu killing the black-robed martial artist could be said to be a coincidence, killing Chang Kuan could be said to be luck, and killing Ling Hu could be said to be a blind guess, then now that he had killed Ling Han, it was enough to prove his strength. In less than an hour's time, Ning Yu had killed a total of 2 middle-stage creation tier cultivators, as well as 2 early-stage creation tier cultivators. From now on, this magnificent feat would probably never be accomplished by a martial artist in the early stage of yin-yang tier. Ning Yu didn't care about the strange expressions of the people around him. He first put the branch of the world tree into his storage ring, and then walked straight towards Mu Feng. After a while, Ning Yu came to Mu Feng's side and said, Dean Mu, Chang Kuan colluded with martial artists from the Blood God Palace. I'm afraid the entire Danwu College needs to be thoroughly investigated. Don't worry, this time, there definitely won't be a fish that escapes the net, Mu Feng said in a low voice. Right, Ning Yu, I'll give this to you. Seeing that Ning Yu was about to leave, Mu Feng flicked his wrist, and instantly, a cold light flew out. Pa. Ning Yu firmly caught it in his hand, opened his palm, and looked at it. He was puzzled, and said, a medicine key? Dean Mu, this is. This is the medicine key to enter the pill cave, Mu Feng said with a smile. It's too expensive, I can't take it, Ning Yu said hurriedly, and was about to return the medicine key to Mu Feng. If I give it to you, just take it. If it weren't for you today, Danwu College would definitely fall into the hands of the Blood God Palace. At that time, who knows how many people would suffer? Mu Feng said. Chapter 728. Swoosh. Swoosh. Mu Feng did not purposely lower his voice, so the surrounding elders could clearly hear his words. This caused a huge uproar in the surroundings. The reason why Mu Feng could become the ruler of Danwu College was because his cultivation had reached the early stage of manifestation realm. On the other hand, it was because he held the key to enter the Pill Cave. The Pill Cave was the foundation of Danwu College. Generally speaking, the Pill Cave had 2 uses. First, it increased the chances of a peak yin-yang realm martial artist advancing to the half-step manifestation realm. Second, it allowed an early-stage grade 8 alchemist to have a high chance of becoming a middle-stage grade 8 alchemist. Either one of these two uses was enough for Mu Feng to enjoy supreme glory in Danwu College. Dean Mu, I'm afraid this is not appropriate. Although the surrounding elders were shocked, no one came out to oppose Mu Feng. On the contrary, the first elder to oppose Mu Feng was Old Ancestor Ju Mo. Old Ancestor Ju Mo's expression was solemn as he lowered his voice. Ningyu is only at the early stage of yin-yang realm. If he holds the pill cave key, I'm afraid, there's no need to say any more. Everyone has seen Ningyu's strength. It's safest to place the key in his hands. Mu Feng waved his hand, interrupting Old Ancestor Ju Mo's words. Moreover, if anyone dares to speak of this matter, don't blame me for being impolite. After saying this, Mu Feng's eyes slowly swept across the surrounding martial artists, extremely cold. Mu Feng's meaning was very clear. Whoever dared to oppose Ningyu was opposing him. Ningyu, if I give you the key, just take it. Don't be like a girl and try to make things difficult. Mu Feng said to Ningyu in a clear voice while secretly sending a soul message. Among these elders, there must be remnants of Chang Kuan's faction. I want to use you as bait to lure them out. As expected. In fact, when Mu Feng said that he wanted to give the key to Ningyu, Ningyu had already guessed this possibility. Otherwise, even if he was the greatest contributor to Danwu College, he would not have the right to keep the key to the pill cave. Rest assured, I know what to do. Ningyu nodded slightly before placing the key into his storage ring. All elders, leave the forbidden area. After waiting for Ningyu's confirmation, Mu Feng's voice contained some yuan qi as he loudly said, no one is allowed to speak of what happened in the forbidden area. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. Buzz. All the elders were waiting for Mu Feng to say this. When Mu Feng's words fell, many elders scattered in an uproar. They tore through the void and left the forbidden area. Almost in an instant, the originally noisy forbidden area instantly quietened down. Ningyu, let's go to the pill cavern. The silence did not last for too long. Mu Feng continued, if you stay inside for a day or two, both your cultivation and soul power will increase by at least one level. Dean Mu, can you let the silver-winged dragon and the others enter the pill cavern as well? With such a good thing, Ningyu did not forget about the silver-winged dragon and the others who fought alongside him. No, it should be the beasts. It's fine. I said that whoever can enter the pill cavern is up to you. I naturally will not go back on my words. Mu Feng smiled. If that's the case, thank you, Dean Mu. Let's go first. I'm afraid the silver-winged dragon and the others will not last long. Since they could enter the pill cavern, Ningyu would not foolishly waste time here. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were not lightly injured. Even the Dark Emperor and Furball in the storage ring were heavily injured. If he wanted them to recover as soon as possible, he could only enter the pill cavern. Ningyu, that, before Ningyu could take a few steps, a familiar voice rang in his ear. Sho. Hearing this, Ningyu stopped and looked back. Ouyang Lun, you also have the right to enter the pill cavern. I treat my own people equally. Ningyu thought that Ouyang Lun had stopped him because he wanted to enter the pill cavern. However, Ouyang Lun's next words made Ningyu a little angry. I also want to enter the pill cavern, but I stopped you not because of entering the pill cavern, but because that mysterious martial artist from the Imperial family contacted me and asked me to return to the Imperial family as soon as possible. Ouyang Lun said awkwardly. F***ck. You're wasting my time on such a trivial matter. Ningyu's expression was cold, and he even cursed, tell that mysterious martial artist to wait. We can only return to the Imperial family when we leave the pill cavern. All right. Ouyang Lun still had a lot of things he wanted to say, but after hearing Ningyu's voice and seeing Ningyu's expression, he forcefully swallowed the words at the tip of his mouth. Let's go. Since Ouyang Lun understood the situation, Ningyu no longer paid attention to him. Instead, he let out a low shout and disappeared behind Mu Feng. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were very sensible. Since Ningyu had left, they definitely wouldn't stay behind. Moreover, Mu Feng had also said that the pill cavern could at least raise Ningyu's cultivation by 1 level. Staying behind for such a good thing would be a fool. It's a waste not to go. Seeing the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast disappear, Ouyang Lun muttered to himself. He also tore through the void and disappeared. Old ancestor Ju Mo pondered for a second before his figure flickered and he left the forbidden area. The reason why old ancestor Ju Mo didn't enter the pill cavern with Ningyu and the others was that the current Danwu College was a mess that he needed to deal with. If he couldn't take charge of the overall situation at this time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Swoosh. At this time, in a certain hall of the imperial family, the void in the main hall suddenly split open, and a few figures quickly appeared. The leading martial artist quickly made his way to the main seat of the hall with a furious look on his face. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely recognize that this martial artist was none other than the emperor of the Xia kingdom, Ouyang Ba. After Danwu College had dealt with the experts of the Corpse Yin sect, Ouyang Ba left Ouyang Lun alone and returned to the imperial family with a few half-step manifestation realm martial artists. Crack. Ouyang Ba slammed his palm on the chair he was sitting on, causing the chair made of thousand-year sandalwood to shatter into pieces. Ningyu has gone too far. He has no respect for the imperial family at all. Ouyang Ba's chest heaved up and down as he said angrily, "Your Majesty, you don't have to be so angry." Seeing that Ouyang Ba was enraged, a half-step manifestation realm martial artist in the hall immediately said, "Everyone has a weakness. I believe Ningyu has a weakness too. As long as we can find out Ningyu's weakness, we'll definitely make him submit to us. Ouyang Ting, what do you think is Ningyu's weakness?" Ouyang Ba raised his eyebrows and asked in a deep voice. In this mainland, most people's weaknesses are their family members. Ouyang Teng's lips curled upward as he said with an evil smile. "Fine, I'll leave this matter to you. I'll give you 1 day's time. After 1 day, I must see Ningyu's parents no matter what." Ouyang Ba said coldly. "Don't worry, Your Majesty. I promise to complete the task," Ouyang Teng said in a sinister tone. Chapter 729. Potential threat. Very well, go now. Don't let me down. Ouyang Ba waved his hand, signaling Ouyang Teng to leave. "Don't worry about me." Ouyang Ting patted his chest, and then his figure flashed out of the hall. Thump. Thump. After Ouyang Teng left, Ouyang Ba raised his heel and stomped on the ground rhythmically. Ouyang Ba had long known that Ningyu was a tough nut to crack. After all, he had set up a few traps to make things difficult for Ningyu, but Ningyu had resolved all of them. "Let's see how you're going to act so arrogantly against me once Ouyang Teng brings your parents back." This time, Ouyang Ba did not think that Ningyu would be able to resolve the situation. Of course, that was unless Ningyu did not care about his parents' safety. After all, humans could not threaten beasts with humans. However, just as Ouyang Ba was thinking about how to threaten Ningyu's parents with Ningyu, a dull thud was heard coming from the entrance of the hall. Bang! Following this, a figure flew into the hall and landed heavily on the ground. Ouyang Ting. Ouyang Ba's expression turned cold as he stared at the familiar figure on the ground and snapped, "Who injured you like this?" Ouyang Teng's aura was extremely weak at that moment, and he even had a few broken bones. Ouyang Teng was a half-formable realm martial artist, ranked top 5 among the royal family experts. One could imagine how strong the enemy was if he was injured to this extent. "I'm the one who injured him." Ouyang Teng was about to answer when a voice was heard coming from outside the hall. Ouyang Teng's face was filled with terror after hearing the voice. He immediately shut his mouth and did not dare to breathe too loudly. A mysterious martial artist. Ouyang Ba stared at the skinny figure entering the hall and said in a cold voice, "What are you doing here? Didn't the ancestor arrange a place for you?" "Ancestor? You must be referring to that useless Ouyang Lun. To be honest, I'm here to look for him." The skinny cultivator curled his lips and stretched out 3 fingers. "I won't say anything unnecessary. I'll give you 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, I want to see Ouyang Lun, otherwise." At this point, the skinny cultivator's gaze swept across the few people in the hall and he continued, For every minute that passes, I will destroy one person's cultivation. Arrogant. The skinny martial artist's arrogant words angered a half-step manifestation realm expert from the royal family. Without waiting for Ouyang-Ba's reply, the half-martial manifestation realm expert tore the space apart and appeared next to the skinny cultivator. The half-step manifestation realm powerhouse threw out a punch, bringing with it a gust of primordial chi wind as it ruthlessly smashed towards the skinny martial artist's head. The half-step manifestation realm powerhouse seemed to have seen the tragic scene of the martial artist's brain exploding. His lips even curled up into an evil smile. However, the half-step manifestation realm powerhouse had clearly overestimated his own strength. Before his fist could land on the skinny martial artist's head, the skinny martial artist had already disappeared. Then, a fist continued to expand in front of his eyes, and finally landed on his nose, where he could not avoid it. Ah! The immense pain coming from his nose and head caused the half-step manifestation realm martial artist to let out a blood-curdling screech like a pig being slaughtered. His body fell backward. Crack! A crisp sound was heard as the half-step manifestation realm martial artist fell to the ground. Just like Ouyang Teng, a few of his bones were broken. Gasp! If it was said that Ouyang Teng's aura was weak due to some kind of conspiracy, then the fact that this half-step manifestation realm martial artist was severely injured caused all the martial artists at the scene, including Ouyang-Ba, to inhale deeply. How powerful was this skinny martial artist? To be able to severely injure a half-step manifestation realm martial artist with a single move, his true strength was probably at the early stage of the manifestation realm, or even the intermediate stage of the manifestation realm. On the surface, his cultivation base is only at the intermediate stage of the yin-yang realm, but he must be at the manifestation realm. Ouyang-Ba took a deep breath and mumbled, "Why don't we calm him down first and test his strength?" As the emperor of the Great Xia Kingdom, Ouyang-Ba was not stupid. He would not take the risk unless it was a life-and-death situation. Damn it! Go to Danwu College at once. I don't care what you have to do, you must find the ancestor and bring him back. Ouyang-Ba clenched his fists and yelled furiously. Yes, we'll go now. When the remaining two half-step to manifestation realm martial artists in the main hall heard Ouyang-Ba's voice, they felt as if they had been pardoned from a great crime and hurriedly left. The skinny martial artist did not stop the martial artists from leaving, but said calmly, "You have 2 minutes left. 2 martial artists have just left the hall, so you'll have to bear all the torture they're going to face. Come back at once." This time, Ouyang-Ba was dumbfounded as he yelled at the top of his lungs. The 2 martial artists had just escaped from the hall, how could they return so easily? Even after hearing Ouyang-Ba's yell, they continued to move forward at full speed, using all their strength to leave the palace. 1 minute left. The skinny martial artist's urging voice was heard once again. Let's give it our all. Now that he had no one to rely on, Ouyang-Ba had no choice but to risk his life. Buzz buzz. In the next instant, Ouyang-Ba tore the space apart and appeared next to the skinny martial artist in the blink of an eye. In order to kill the opponent with a single blow, not only did Ouyang-Ba wrap his vitality around his wrist, he even wrapped his soul force around his wrist. For many years, Ouyang-Ba had been pretending to be weak. His real cultivation base was not the yin-yang realm that the public had speculated, but the half-step manifestation realm. Furthermore, he had reached the peak of the half-step manifestation realm. He was only a step away from the early-stage manifestation realm. The attack he had unleashed with all his might was extremely powerful. Even an ordinary early-stage manifestation realm martial artist would not dare to take it head-on. I don't care if you're the mysterious martial artist, since you've offended the royal family, you've offended me, I'll make you. Fart. Ouyang-Ba uttered coldly as his fist was about to land on the skinny martial artist, as if he was going to win. Dreams were plentiful, but reality was cruel. At that instant, Ouyang-Ba experienced the same feeling. His fist did land on the skinny martial artist's head. However, the skinny martial artist that he had hit was not a native, but a shadow. When Ouyang-Ba finally reacted, it was too late. The skinny martial artist would never let those who disobeyed his will and challenged his dignity have a good ending. Although the skinny martial artist would not go as far as to kill, It would not be a problem for him to beat Ouyang until he lost control of his bowels. The skinny martial artist thought so, and did as he was told. He continued to throw a few punches, each of which landed on Ouyang's head. In just a few seconds, Ouyang's head was swollen like a pig's. Thump. The skinny martial artist did not want to stop after beating Ouyang's head up. His goal was clear. He wanted to beat Ouyang until he lost control of his bowels. Following this, the skinny martial artist raised his right leg and gave a few kicks. Fut fut fut. 3 seconds later, the skinny martial artist stopped. As for Ouyang, he fell limply onto the ground, with a pool of yellow liquid flowing out from his body. Sigh, so useless. Forget it, I'll pay a visit to Danwoo College myself. I'd like to see where Ouyang got his courage from to go against my will. Chapter 730. Not the strongest Dean Mu, is this the pill cave? Ningyu had no idea what had happened to Ouyang and the others. After leaving the forbidden area, Ningyu followed Mu Feng to the so-called pill cave. In fact, it was no wonder that Ningyu was surprised. In his knowledge, the pill cave should be in a cave somewhere. At the very least, it should be a cave. But now, they were in a room. If there was anything different about this room, it would be that there was not a single table or chair in the room. It was extremely empty. Silver-winged dragon and the rest were confused too. Didn't they say that the pill cave was a place of treasures? Didn't they say that the pill cave could help Ningyu improve his cultivation by a level? What the F***ck, Stone Dog Tai Lane Hey, this is obviously not the pill cave. Seeing the reactions of Ningyu and the rest, Mu Feng smiled and stomped his right foot on the ground. Crack. As Mu Feng's right foot landed on the ground, a cracking sound was heard. Whoosh. Following that, Ningyu and the rest saw the ground suddenly sink with Mu Feng at the center. What are you waiting for? The pill cave is right below. The moment Mu Feng's head disappeared, a voice was heard in the room. Whoosh. 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 Hearing Mu Feng's voice, Ningyu and the rest snapped out of their daze. They immediately stomped their feet on the ground and dived into the ground from the sunken area. Creak. After Ningyu and the rest disappeared, the sunken ground closed up and everything returned to normal. Dark. Very dark. Very dark. The first, second, and third feeling that Ningyu had after entering the ground were all dark. Furthermore, in the endless darkness, Ningyu could even sense a few powerful auras. These auras were mostly at the peak of the yin-yang realm. Furthermore, at the end of the darkness, Ningyu could even sense an extremely powerful aura. The aura had even reached the peak of the initial stage of the manifestation realm. The Pill Cavern is the forbidden area of Danwoo College. It enjoys the highest level of protection in Danwoo College. Perhaps he was afraid that Ningyu would overthink it, Mu Feng explained. Although I'm the dean of Danwoo College, I'm not like Ouyang. My strength isn't the strongest in Danwoo College. Aren't you the strongest in Danwoo College? Hearing that, Ningyu raised an eyebrow and suddenly thought of something. He asked, in Danwoo College, does the old headmaster know of an old man named Wu Xie? When Ningyu left Qianqian City, his father, Ningyu, had given him a pendant, saying that he was afraid that he would not be able to enter Danwoo College. If he was unable to get into Danwoo College, he could give the semicircular pendant to an old man named Wu Xie, saying that Wu Xie could help him. However, Ningyu easily entered Danwoo College and entered Danwoo College as the top scorer in the Sacred Institute's examination. Therefore, Ningyu temporarily forgot about Wu Xie. Hearing Mu Feng's words, Ningyu recalled. He had always felt that Wu Xie was a little special. After all, the red demon sword had been trapped in the pendant for a long time. Wu Xie. Mu Feng frowned and tried hard to recall. After a while, Mu Feng shook his head and said, I remember the names of all the elders and mentors in Danwoo College. I have no impression of the old man Wu Xie you mentioned. Is there something important? Seeing Ningyu's disappointed look, Mu Feng continued, if there's something important, I'll immediately ask someone to investigate. As long as Wu Xie is really in Danwoo College, we'll definitely be able to find him. Actually, it's nothing important. It's just that my father mentioned Wu Xie before. Ningyu said. Leave it to me. After we leave the pill cave, I'll immediately get someone to investigate. Mu Feng patted his chest. If that's the case, thank you, old Dean. Ningyu thanked him sincerely. Haha, the entrance to the pill cave is just ahead. Let's speed up a little. Mu Feng smiled faintly, then suddenly sped up and dashed forward. Not long after, Mu Feng stopped in front of a stone door. Ningyu, insert the medicine spoon into the hole. Mu Feng pointed to the hole on the stone door and said to Ningyu. Click. Ningyu moved to the stone door and inserted the medicine spoon into the hole. As soon as the medicine spoon was inserted into the hole, the stone door slowly moved. Creak. The heavy stone door rubbed against the ground, making creaking sounds. When the stone door was completely open, Mu Feng stepped in first. Behind Mu Feng, Ningyu and Ouyang Lun followed closely. Hiss. As soon as he entered the pill cave, Ningyu was shocked by the scene in front of him. In the air, countless light spots flew past at high speed. These light spots were roughly divided into two types, one was white and the other was gold. The white light spots contain energy, which is the so-called pure vitality. Mu Feng explained. As for the gold light spots, it contains pure soul power. Swish. Swish. Without waiting for Ningyu to speak, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast rushed out. Their target was clear, that was the white light spot. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were still seriously injured. To them, the vitality was a life-saving straw. The pill cave is huge. This is just the entrance. The white and gold light spots are very small. Mu Feng continued. If you can reach the depths of the pill cave, you can even find larger light spots. But I don't agree with you going deep into the pill cave, because you might encounter a pill puppet there. Pill puppet? What's that? Ningyu frowned. Because the pill cave has existed for a long time, it gave birth to a type of virtual body. This kind of virtual body devours the white and gold light spots for a long time, so it's powerful. Mu Feng sighed softly and said helplessly, actually, the pill puppet is the true treasure of the pill cave. If you can devour the lowest grade pill puppet, not only can your cultivation easily reach the yin-yang intermediate stage, but your soul power can also advance to the tier 6 intermediate stage. I have to remind you that the lowest grade pill puppet's strength is suppressed to the creation realm intermediate stage. You must not provoke them. Seeing that Ningyu had an urge to give it a try, Mu Feng hurriedly said, even the strongest person in the Danwu Academy has no way of contending with the lowest grade pill puppet. They can only govern the pill cavern by dividing the region. Don't worry, Dean. I'll just walk around the periphery. I definitely won't enter the depths of the pill cave, Ningyu said. That's good. I'll find a place to rest first. Do as you please. Mu Feng said this, then tore through the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. I'm sure you heard what Dean Mu said. I don't want you to provoke the pill puppet. Ningyu turned his head to look at Ouyang Lun, and his figure gradually became illusory. How would I dare to provoke the pill puppet? Ouyang Lun muttered to himself, then hurriedly went to capture the light spots. The pill cave wasn't a place anyone could enter, so Ouyang Lun naturally cherished this opportunity. Swish. After leaving the entrance of the pill cave, Ningyu flew straight to the place with the highest concentration of light spots. After about 10 minutes, Ningyu stopped. Chapter 731. By DA earning you first devoured the white light spots. The white speck of light contained pure yuan qi, while the golden speck of light contained pure soul power. Ningyu was well aware of his current situation. His soul force was at the early stage of grade 6. Even if he advanced to the mid-stage of grade 6, his strength would not increase much. Only by advancing his cultivation from the early stage to the mid-stage, or even the late stage, would there be a qualitative change. Buzz. Ningyu continuously devoured the white light spots and felt the violent yuan qi wreaking havoc in his body. Then, it surged into his consciousness. Ningyu had already expected this situation. He hurriedly used the spirit transformation technique to control the yuan qi into his golden core. When he was at the peak of Yuan Dan, Ningyu had a total of 7 golden cores in his consciousness. When he advanced to the early stage of yin-yang, Ningyu's 7 golden cores shattered and reformed into a single golden core. However, this single golden core contained more energy than the previous 7 golden cores. Although Ningyu devoured a few light spots, it was like a stone sinking into the ocean. It did not impact his golden core. However, Ningyu was not discouraged. He sat cross-legged and continued to devour the white light spots around him. Swoosh! While Ningyu was devouring the white light spots with all his might, 4 head-sized light spots were slowly moving not far in front of him. 4 light spots, 2 white and 2 gold. Wherever these 4 light spots went, not a single blade of grass grew. No, it should be said that there was nothing left. Be it the white or gold light spots, they were all devoured by them. Sigh, what bad luck. The treasure land has been occupied by the Diawlo. We can only come to the periphery of the pill cave to devour the light spots. One of the white light spots complained, if this continues, when will we be able to advance? You still want to advance? Be content. Fortunately, we ran fast. Otherwise, we would have all been devoured by the Diawlo. The other white light spot was scared when it mentioned the Diawlo. That's fine too. We can proclaim ourselves as kings in the pill cave's outer perimeter. It's quite free and unfettered, said the golden speck of light. Freedom, my ass. If we don't replenish our energy for a long time, our strength will quickly decline. The golden dot at the side didn't think so. He was still very pessimistic. Sigh, I haven't seen anyone for a long time. What if there's someone at this time? The first white dot to speak sighed softly. Before he finished speaking, he pointed to the front and exclaimed, it's an early-stage yin-yang cultivator. It really is a human. The other 3 dots of light also discovered the martial artists not far away. With a shake of their bodies, they transformed from dots of light into human forms. Seeing that the 3 of them had transformed into their human forms, the first white dot of light that spoke also suddenly turned and transformed into a young man who looked like a scholar. I didn't expect to encounter a living human right after escaping. TSK, TSK. Devouring humans is much better than devouring motes of light, said the scholarly young man with a sinister smile. Let's go take a look. As for the other 3 spots of light, one was dressed in white and the other 2 were dressed in golden robes. It was obvious that the golden-robed man was a golden dot of light, while the white-robed man was a white dot of light. I've finally recovered to my peak state. Now I can try to break through to the mid-yin-yang stage. Oh no. The spiritual art devoured primordial chi very quickly. In just a few minutes, Ningyu had already recovered to his peak state. Just as Ningyu was about to try to break through to the mid-yin-yang stage, his expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly stood up. Swoosh! 4 martial artists suddenly appeared in front of him. Although he didn't know the specific cultivation of these 4 martial artists, Ningyu could still sense traces of a terrifying aura from them. This terrifying aura indicated that these 4 martial artists had reached the mid-yin-yang stage. Could they be the pill puppets that Dean Mu mentioned? Ningyu's heart skipped a beat, and he vaguely felt that something was wrong. However, on second thought, this place was still very far away from the depths of the pill cave. It didn't make sense for there to be a pill puppet here. Brat, you're lucky to have met us. We're in a bad mood today, so we've decided to split you into 4, half for each of us. The golden-robed man's words were extremely shocking. The moment he opened his mouth, Ningyu's expression completely darkened. Who are you? Ningyu asked in a deep voice. Who are you? Hehe, we're not humans. I'm Jin Dae, and his Jin Dae. The golden-robed man pointed at himself, and then at the other golden-robed man. I'm Bai Dae, and his Bai Dae. The white-robed man shrugged. Upon hearing that, Ningyu's face darkened. What kind of king names are these? White coat. Golden coat. Are they called coats because they don't have clothes to wear? I don't care what coat you're wearing. In any case, this is Danwoo College's pill cave. What do you want? Ningyu wanted to calm the 4 of them down while he contacted the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast. Even if Ningyu wanted to run, he wouldn't be able to escape from 4 mid-stage manifestation realm experts. He could only contact the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast to think of a solution. Don't talk nonsense with him. By Da, go and split him into 4. We're going to enjoy him. By Da waved his hand, gesturing for By Da to act as soon as possible. Got it. By Da had long wanted to taste something new. As soon as By Da's voice fell, he tore through the void and charged toward Ningyu. Damn it. At this critical moment, Ningyu's first thought was to escape. However, he gave up on that idea in a flash. Because he definitely couldn't escape, he could only fight head-on. That way, he might have a chance. Palm of life and death. Ningyu channeled all the primordial chi in his sea of consciousness into his palm and struck out with his most powerful palm. Netherworld Samsara Palm's 7th style, Palm of Life and Death. Bang! However, Ningyu's most powerful move was not even worth mentioning in By Da's hands. By Da struck out with his palm and blasted Ningyu several meters back. Fut! Although Ningyu was prepared for the attack of a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist, he was still severely injured and his aura was slightly weak. Can't even withstand a single blow. By Da did not stop after his attack succeeded. Instead, he continued to attack. Swoosh! However, what happened next left By Da dumbfounded. Before By Da could reach Ningyu, a branch rushed out from Ningyu's storage ring. Hiss! Furthermore, there was a budding flower bud on this branch. Although the flower bud had not bloomed, it was still gorgeous and colorful. The most terrifying thing was that a monstrous engulfment force surged out from the flower bud. This engulfment force arrived beside By Da in an instant and forced him back to his original form under By Da's horrified gaze. White speck of light. Ningyu was dumbfounded as he looked at By Da's original form. Just as he had guessed, By Da was not a human but a pill puppet. A genuine pill puppet. By Da, save me. Chapter 732. Flower petals bloom save my ass. Run. By Da wasn't a fool. He wouldn't foolishly try to save By Da. The powerful devouring power that erupted from the flower bud made even him feel guilty. He couldn't muster any thoughts of resisting. Perhaps running was the best choice right now. Swoosh. Swoosh. Seeing By Da escape, Jin Dai and Jin Dea also dashed out and ran into the distance. Kai Kai. Before By Da and the others could get far, By Da was swallowed by the flower bud. Whoosh. After swallowing By Da, the flower bud finally transformed. One of its petals suddenly split open. Buzz buzz. The blossoming of the petal seemed to make the flower bud even stronger. In the blink of an eye, 3 terrifying devouring powers rushed out from the flower bud. These 3 devouring powers were not only fast, but they were also much stronger than the one that swallowed By Da. Almost in an instant, the 3 devouring powers caught up to By Da and the others. I'll go all out. Poochie. Feeling the devouring power assaulting him from behind, By Da shouted in a low voice and turned around with the intention of resisting it. However, By Da's idea was perfect, but reality was cruel. By Da wasn't much better off than By Da. He was first forced into his original form by the devouring powers, then sucked into the flower bud. Hiss. Seeing By Da's pitiful state, Jin Dai and Jin Dea sucked in a cold breath. Their hearts sank to the bottom. Among the 4 of them, By Da was the strongest. He had the most trump cards. Even someone as strong as By Da was easily swallowed. It was obvious that Jin Dai and Jin Dea wouldn't have it easy. Plop. Since they couldn't escape, Jin Dai and the others bent their knees and knelt on the ground. Human, we're only the weakest pill puppets. You're so strong. The evil king is your real target. Jin Dai shouted, hoping that Ningyu would spare his life. Who's the evil king? Ningyu separated a strand of soul force and stopped the flower bud temporarily. The evil king is the strongest pill puppet in the pill cavern. His strength has reached the late stage of the manifestation realm. Jin Dai seemed to have found a life-saving straw and hurriedly said, as long as you can let this flower bud devour the evil king, it will definitely be able to fully bloom. Ningyu had once counted that the flower bud had a total of 8 petals. At this rate, even if the flower bud swallowed up Jin-di and Jin-di, it still wouldn't be able to fully bloom. That's a good idea, but why should I believe you? Although Ning Yu really wanted to see the flower bud bloom, he still frowned. The Diawolo is in the depths of the pill cavern. If you don't believe me, you can come with me. You'll naturally believe me when you get there, Jin-di continued. Humph. The evil king is indeed at the late stage of the blessed realm, but he is only one step away from advancing to the peak of the blessed realm. When he saw that Ning Yu was about to be convinced by him, Jin-di snorted in his heart and said, not only is the evil king strong, he's also incredibly hot-tempered. At that time, you will definitely fight, and when the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman will benefit from it. Heh. Before Jin-di could finish his sweet dream, it was mercilessly shattered by Ning Yu's next words. Go to the depths of the pill cavern with you? I'm not an idiot. Ning Yu pursed his lips and said, I didn't look for you, but you wanted to come and eat me. You can only blame yourselves for being too greedy. When Ning Yu said this, Jin-di's face turned pale. Run. At that moment, Jin-di thought of escaping again, and he put it into action. Ning Yu's intention was very clear. He would definitely not let him go. If he did not run now, when would he run? Hihi, you're only thinking of running now. Don't you think it's a little too late? Ning Yu smiled and controlled the flower bud to chase after Jin-di. The flower bud had wanted to swallow Jin-di for a long time. Now that it had received Ning Yu's reply, two terrifying engulfing forces surged out of its body again. Jin-di and Jin-di met the same fate. After letting out a shriek like a pig being slaughtered, he transformed into his true form. As soon as they returned to their true forms, they were swallowed by the flower bud. Whoosh, whoosh. After devouring Jin-di and Jin-di, another 2 petals bloomed. In addition to the previous 2 petals, there were a total of 4 petals blooming on the flower bud's body. However, the 4 petals only bloomed for a short while before closing again. What an ingrate. After devouring so much yuan qi and soul power, he didn't even think of sharing some with me, Ning Yu mumbled as he watched the blooming petals close. Whoosh. Just as Ning Yu was mumbling to himself, a beam of light rushed out of the flower bud and entered his body in an instant. Ning Yu only felt a monstrous wave of yuan qi wreaking havoc in his body, and then it surged into his consciousness. Spiritual transformation technique. The sudden change did not cause Ning Yu to lose his mind. He quickly sat down cross-legged and began to use the spiritual transformation technique to start depleting the yuan qi in his consciousness. Whoosh. However, before Ning Yu finished depleting his yuan qi, another golden beam of light rushed out of the flower bud and entered his body in the blink of an eye. Pure soul power. Ning Yu's mouth was slightly agape, and his eyes were wide open. He could not believe everything that was happening. With this pure soul power and yuan qi, Ning Yu had reason to believe that he would be able to advance very soon. Ning Yu took a deep breath and let the flower bud float in the air. He was going to make a breakthrough with all his might. With the flower bud protecting him, Ning Yu was very relieved. That was because the flower bud was the natural nemesis of the Dan Kai. In Ning Yu's consciousness, the remaining golden core was rapidly devouring the pure yuan qi in the beam of light. At this speed, Ning Yu would be able to advance further and reach the mid-stage of Yin-Yang realm in half an hour at most. As for Ning Yu's grade 6 soul power, it was madly merging with the pure soul power that was being fed back by the flower bud. At this speed, the strength of Ning Yu's soul power would reach the mid-stage of Yin-Yang realm in 40 minutes at most. Or even the late stage of Yin-Yang realm. Time passed by minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Bam! When the 31st minute arrived, a muffled sound suddenly came from Ning Yu's consciousness. Immediately, a monstrous aura spread out in all directions with Ning Yu as the center. Rumble. After the monstrous aura spread out, a group of 2 behemoths to the west of Ning Yu revealed a shocked expression. It's in the direction where Ning Yu is. Ning Yu recognized the 2 behemoths. One was a twin-horned beast, the other was a silver-winged dragon. Then what are we waiting for? Let's hurry over before something unexpected happens. The twin-horned beast yelled and directly tore through the void, disappearing in an instant. To the east of Ningyu. Mu Feng looked in the direction where the powerful aura was rising and frowned slightly. He murmured, could it be that Ningyu broke through? Not good. If it's really Ningyu breaking through, then it'll be terrible. Mu Feng did not dare to think too much and hurriedly rushed out. Just as he said, if it was really Ningyu breaking through, it would indeed be very dangerous. There were many Dan Kai in the depths of the pill cave. The reaction caused by Ningyu breaking through was too great, and it was very likely to attract the attention of powerful Dan Kai. Chapter 733. Intimidate You Few. In a certain area of the pill cave, Ningyu slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. After 30 minutes of all-out effort, Ningyu finally broke through to middle stage yin-yang realm at the 31st minute. Although it was only a small increase in his cultivation base, Ningyu could clearly feel that his strength had increased tremendously. Even if I don't use my soul power now, I'm fearless against early-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Feeling the majestic vitality waves in his consciousness, Ningyu took a deep breath and mumbled, even if I encounter a middle-stage manifestation realm martial artist, I can still escape easily if I can't beat him. Ningyu had an accurate judgment of his own strength. Without using his soul power, he could fight against early-stage manifestation realm martial artists. Once he used his soul power, he could even be on par with a middle-stage manifestation realm martial artist. After all, Ningyu's current strongest technique was the Netherworld Samsara Palm, and the Netherworld Samsara Palm was a soul attack technique. Of course, the prerequisite for Ningyu to be on par with a middle-stage manifestation realm martial artist was that his soul power had to reach middle stage 6. Otherwise, it would all be empty talk. Devour. Naturally, Ningyu would not sit there and wait like a fool. He withdrew his aura and focused on devouring the pure soul power that the flower bud sent back. In the first minute, Ningyu devoured 1/5 of the pure soul power that the flower bud sent back to his body. In the second minute, he devoured 2/5. In the third minute, the fourth minute, until the 5th minute. Bang! A dull sound came from Ningyu's body. Swoosh! Ningyu abruptly opened his eyes after the muffled sound rang out. A berserk soul fluctuation burst out from his body. Not bad, I've actually broken through to middle stage 6. The soul wave around Ningyu flashed for a moment before returning to normal. Initially, Ningyu thought that he could only increase his soul power to middle stage 6 at most, and it would be more difficult for him to break through to middle stage 6. Unexpectedly, his soul power really did break through to middle stage 6. Life and Death Palm. After his soul force had reached the late stage of grade 6, Ningyu flicked his wrist and impatiently displayed the Life and Death Palm. In order to test the might of the Life and Death Palm, Ningyu even injected the essence energy in his sea of consciousness into his palm, executing the strongest move he could execute at his current stage. Rumble. In mid-air, a huge blood-colored handprint suddenly appeared, covering the sky and covering the sun. It was abnormally huge. Who? Suddenly, Ningyu's eyes turned cold. With a low grunt, he controlled the blood-colored palm to attack into the distance. In the direction of the blood-colored palm print, 3 blurry figures were faintly discernible, becoming clearer and clearer. It's Dean Mu and the others. After seeing the person's face, Ningyu hurriedly sent a portion of his soul power into the blood-red palm print, continuously weakening its power. Even if Ningyu went all out, when the palm imprint reached Mu Feng and the others, it still had 60% of its power. Not good. F***CK. Who has the guts to attack us? The sudden appearance of the blood-colored palm print caused Mu Feng and the silver-winged dragon's expressions to change greatly. They hurriedly executed their own trump cards to resist. Bang! 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 Although Mu Feng and the others had all executed their strongest trump cards, the result was not ideal. 3 consecutive crisp sounds rang out. Mu Feng and the other 2 fell to the ground like kites with their strings cut. Puff! Even Mu Feng, who had weak resistance, spat out a large mouthful of blood. His breath was slightly weak. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast did not fare any better. They fell to the ground with their mouths on the ground, looking very miserable. Damn it, who is it? Damn it, it's you. The silver-winged dragon did a carp roll and stood up from the ground. However, just as he was about to explode in anger, he saw a familiar figure rushing over from afar. He was indeed very familiar with this figure. It was Ningyu. Hey, I'm very sorry. I didn't know it was you guys. If I had known, I wouldn't have treated you guys like this. Ningyu scratched his head awkwardly. He was a little embarrassed. No matter what, he was the one who made the mistake first. Admitting his mistake was always the right thing to do. Ningyu, what move did you execute just now? Why is it so powerful? Mu Feng did not have the intention to blame Ningyu. He asked in confusion. One had to know that if he had not used all his trump cards to resist, he would have most likely died. Life and death palm is my strongest move at this stage. Ningyu said honestly, after executing this move, I have already exhausted all my strength. I need to rest for a long time to recover. In order to not cause an even greater shock, Ningyu had to fabricate a reasonable reason. Otherwise, Mu Feng would probably treat him as a monster. Little did he know that Mu Feng had already treated him as a monster. You've advanced to the middle stage of the yin-yang realm? Everyone had their privacy. Mu Feng felt that the palm earlier was Ningyu's privacy. Hence, he did not continue to harp on it. Instead, he changed the topic and said, also, if I'm not wrong, the strength of your soul force has probably reached the advanced stage of the 6th grade. Hee, nothing can be hidden from the dean. Ningyu laughed. How about this? You stay in the pill cavern for a while longer. I have something to take care of, Mu Feng said after some thought. What is it? Do you need my help? Ningyu saw Mu Feng's serious expression and felt that something was about to happen. Nothing big. I'm just going to clean up the traitor of Danwu College. Mu Feng waved his hand and tore through the void, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Ningyu, you injured us by accident. You must compensate us with 3 Shenyang pills. After Mu Feng left, the silver-winged dragon demanded an exorbitant price and demanded Shenyang pills from Ningyu. When Mu Feng was around, the silver-winged dragon would definitely not want to expose the existence of the Shenyang pills. Now that Mu Feng had left the pill cavern, the silver-winged dragon naturally had to demand for the Shenyang pills openly. Bullsh *T. At most, 1 pill per person. I'll pay you back in 2 months. Ningyu could not be bothered with the silver-winged dragon. He did not beat around the bush and said directly, I promised you guys 1 Shenyang pill before. Now, I've promised you another one. 2 in total. You and the twin-horned beast will each get 1 Shenyang pill every month. As for the timing, it's entirely up to me. Alright, you guys can go wherever you want now. I have no time to waste with you guys. Swoosh. Swoosh. In the next moment, Ningyu's soul force surged as he controlled the Dark Emperor and Furball to fly out of the storage ring. The pill cavern was a good place to recuperate. In the past, Ningyu did not dare to let the Dark Emperor and Furball out to recuperate out of fear of the pill puppet. But now, with the flower bud around, all these problems were easily solved. F***CK. Poor judgment of people. Looking at the Dark Emperor and Furball flying out of the storage ring, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast could do nothing even though they were furious. Right now, their relationship with Ningyu had been swapped. Ningyu was no longer the one listening to their orders. Instead, they had to listen to Ningyu's arrangements. Chapter 734. Mu Tian. Inside the pill cavern, the Dark Emperor and Furball were greedily devouring the white light spots while Ningyu sat down cross-legged to stabilize his cultivation. Ningyu was different from other warriors. He had advanced to the mid-stage of the yin-yang realm and did not have a period of weakness. On the contrary, the Yuan Qi in his consciousness was unusually violent and seemed to be on the verge of a breakthrough. The current situation was very awkward for Ningyu. On one hand, he wanted to break through to the late stage of the yin-yang realm. On the other hand, he did not have enough Yuan Qi in his consciousness. According to his deduction, he needed a large amount of Yuan Qi to successfully break through to the late stage of the yin-yang realm. At the very least, he needed twice the amount of Yuan Qi that the flower bud gave him. After much consideration, Ningyu decided to stabilize his cultivation first. If there was enough time, He would try to enter the depths of the pill cavern. After all, with the flower bud, Ningyu was not afraid of the so-called pill puppet at all. We have to be smart when dealing with Ningyu in the future. The silver-winged dragon and the double-horned beast muttered to themselves before finding a good place to devour the flower bud. As Ningyu and the rest were in the pill cavern, they knew nothing about what was happening outside. At the same time, Danwu College. In a square somewhere in the sacred college. Dozens of warriors had already gathered in the square. Without a doubt, most of these warriors were students of the sacred college of Danwu College. A small number of them were teachers of Danwu College. In the middle of the square, a skinny warrior dressed in black stood there. Beside the skinny warrior, 2 or 3 warriors could be seen lying down. These warriors were mostly at the peak of the primal core realm. There was even one who was at the early stage of the yin-yang realm. It was obvious that these warriors had all been defeated by the skinny warrior. Cough, cough. The skinny cultivator's eyes slowly swept across the crowd. He coughed twice and said indifferently, "I only have one purpose this time, and that is to find Ouyang Lun. I'll give you 3 minutes. If I don't see Ouyang Lun after 3 minutes, I'll kill 1 person every minute." Gasp. Hearing the skinny cultivator's words, coupled with the powerful strength he had displayed, many students gasped. No one dared to step forward to refute him. This friend, we don't even know who Ouyang Lun is. Where do you want us to find him? After a while, seeing that no one dared to speak, Li Tongtian braced himself and said, "Even if you want to find Ouyang Lun, you have to tell us who he is first." "Oh, you want to know who Ouyang Lun is?" Hearing Li Tongtian's words, the skinny martial artist raised an eyebrow and said calmly, "Since you have such courage, I'll tell you who Ouyang Lun is." Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the thin cultivator rose from the ground and disappeared in an instant. Not good. The moment the skinny martial artist disappeared, Li Tongtian sensed that something was wrong. However, even if he realized it, it was useless. Bang! The skinny martial artist appeared beside him in an instant, and his fist, which carried a strong fluctuation of yuan qi, landed on his chest. The excruciating pain from his chest caused Li Tongtian to stumble back a few feet and fly towards a giant rock at the edge of the square. The giant rock at the edge of the square was very large, and there was a flying sword stuck in it. Seeing the flying sword stuck in the rock, the surrounding students turned pale. If Li Tongtian had hit the flying sword, he would have been crippled at the very least. Swoosh! Just as everyone was worrying about Li Tongtian, a figure suddenly dashed out from afar and caught Li Tongtian in an instant. Phew! Seeing that Li Tongtian had been saved, many students heaved a sigh of relief. That was close. If progenitor Ju Mo had appeared just a little later, Li Tongtian would have been dead. Who dares to cause trouble in Danwu College's territory? Progenitor Ju Mo put Li Tongtian down and snorted coldly. Progenitor Ju Mo was furious. He had been busy dealing with the remnants of the Corpse Yin sect when he heard that someone had caused trouble in the Sacred Institute. He immediately put down everything and rushed over. Now that he thought about it, if he had hesitated for even a moment, the fake holy son of Danwu College, Li Tongtian, could have really gone to heaven. It was really frightening to think about it. "Oh, I just beat up the young one, and here comes the old one." The thin martial artist raised his eyebrows and said, "Listen up, I will never change my name or my surname, Mu Tian." Mu Tian? Progenitor Ju Mo frowned. "Never heard of you. Of course you haven't heard of someone from a small place," Mu Tian said disdainfully. 1 minute has passed. You have 2 minutes left. Arrogant. As a cultivator who was second only to Mu Feng in Danwu College, progenitor Ju Mo naturally would not choose to compromise. He let out a low roar and dashed toward Mu Tian at a rapid speed. Although Mu Tian was only at the mid-stage of Yin-Yang realm, progenitor Ju Mo did not underestimate him. Progenitor Ju Mo had interacted with Ningyu before, so he knew that some heaven-defying monsters could kill people who were a few levels above them. If he underestimated such monsters, he would only be at a disadvantage. However, even though progenitor Ju Mo did not hold back, he still did not have an easy time against Mu Tian's powerful strength. Crack! Mu Tian punched out and collided head-on with progenitor Ju Mo's fist. The result was tragic. Not only was progenitor Ju Mo knocked back dozens of feet, but even his fist was broken with a cracking sound. If Li Tongqian's defeat in a single move had caused the surrounding students to suck in a breath of cold air, then now that forefather Ju Mo had been defeated in a single move, the surrounding martial artists were all dumbfounded. They didn't even dare to make a sound. Silence. Silence. A deathly silence. The moment an expert made a move, it was obvious. After this exchange, progenitor Ju Mo basically judged that Mu Tian's strength was at least at the early stage of the manifestation realm, or even stronger. I must inform Dean Mu to come over. Progenitor Ju Mo gritted his teeth and took out a crystal ball, intending to crush it. Bang! However, how could progenitor Ju Mo's small movements escape Mu Tian's notice? Before he could crush the crystal ball, Mu Tian flicked his sleeves, and a cold light shot out and hit him in the chest. The already heavily injured progenitor Ju Mo's aura became even weaker after being hit by this cold light. Trash who has always been defeated by me in one move can't do anything without my permission. Mu Tian said calmly. Suddenly, Mu Tian's eyebrows twitched. Looking at the void not far away, he said indifferently, "Come on out. If I didn't guess wrongly, you should be the strongest person in the Danwu Academy." Buzz. As soon as Mu Tian finished speaking, the void trembled. Then, a figure appeared from the void. Dean. The surrounding Danwu College students cried out excitedly when they saw the figure that had suddenly appeared. Mu Feng was the dean of Danwu College. Many students knew that. In their minds, Mu Feng was the guardian of Danwu College. Whenever Danwu College was in danger, he would always appear. Chapter 735. Unrivaled. Not bad, not bad. He's actually at the early stage of the manifestation realm. Looking at Mu Feng, who was slowly walking towards him, Mu Tian gloomily said, "It's just that there's still a long way to go before I reach the middle stage of the manifestation realm. Old Dean, be careful. This Mu Tian is not simple." Before Mu Feng could reach Mu Tian, Ancestor Ju Mo's voice resounded in his mind. "Don't worry, I know what to do." Mu Feng naturally knew that Mu Tian was difficult to deal with. He took a deep breath to appease old Ancestor Ju Mo and slightly quickened his pace. After a while, Mu Feng arrived beside Mu Tian and said in a deep voice, "Speak, what exactly do you want?" "I don't want to do anything, I just want to see Ouyang Lun." Mu Tian shrugged and said, "Ouyang Lun?" Mu Feng was startled at first, then he calmly said, "Ouyang Lun is the ancestor of the imperial family. If you want to see him, you should go to the imperial family." "What is the meaning of coming here? Ha ha ha, do you take me for a fool?" Mu Tian laughed hysterically and spoke in a cold voice. "The emperor of the great Xia kingdom, Ouyang Ba, personally said that Ouyang Lun is in Danwu College. You better stop wasting time. There is still 1 minute left. If I don't see Ouyang Lun, I will start a massacre." "Humph. Mu Tian, don't go too far." Mu Feng snorted coldly. "I'm going too far. That's because I have the qualifications to bully others." "Do you?" Mu Tian curled his lips and said. This sentence caused Mu Feng's anger to soar to the heavens. This was Danwu College. It was not a place for an outsider to behave atrociously. Therefore, Mu Feng moved. Whoosh. When he didn't move, it was fine, but when he did, it was shocking. After staying in the pill cavern for such a long time, Mu Feng had already recovered to his peak condition. Even though he was still a distance away from the middle stage of the manifestation realm, he was not as weak as Mu Tian had made him out to be. Sigh, there are some people in this world who are not afraid of death. When Mu Tian saw Mu Feng dashing towards him, he sighed and slowly closed his eyes. Hua! When the surrounding students saw Mu Tian closing his eyes, they all revealed looks of excitement. Some of the students even started discussing among themselves. How arrogant! The patriarch is at the early stage of the manifestation realm, yet he dares to be careless when fighting him. That's right. I'm not surprised that Mu Tian was able to defeat Patriarch Ju Mo. After all, Patriarch Ju Mo is at the half-step to manifestation realm, but Patriarch Ju Mo is at the early stage of the manifestation realm. Mu Tian is clearly courting death by doing this. Everyone, keep your eyes open. Don't miss. What? Seeing Mu Tian close his eyes, the crowd of students began to discuss. However, before the last mid-primal core disciple could finish his sentence, his eyes widened in disbelief. Mu Feng's iron-like fist actually passed through Mu Tian's body. After image. When the palm passed through Mu Tian's body, Mu Feng's expression changed greatly as he hurriedly retreated. Because even he didn't know exactly when Mu Tian had vanished. The fact that Mu Tian was able to hide from his eyes and senses meant that Mu Tian was very powerful. At the very least, he had to be extremely careful. Otherwise, he would be doomed. What happened next caused Mu Feng's mouth to gape slightly as he stood rooted to the ground. Unknowingly, Mu Tian had already appeared behind him. Mu Tian's right hand pushed out horizontally and smashed onto Mu Feng's back. It looked like an ordinary palm, but it was extremely powerful. Fart. Dark red blood spurted out from Mu Feng's mouth. After the blood spurted out, Mu Feng's aura dropped rapidly. In just a few seconds, Mu Feng's aura dropped from the early stage of the manifestation stage to the primal core stage. At this moment, Mu Feng's appearance was extremely miserable. Not only was his face devoid of blood, but it even gradually turned black. In the end, his entire face was extremely black. Even when he fought with the powerhouses from the Blood God Palace, Mu Feng didn't end up in such a state. It could be said that Mu Feng's current situation was the most miserable and depressing he had ever been since he advanced to the early stage of the manifestation stage. Sigh, what a pity. Time's up. Mu Tian didn't care about Mu Feng's miserable appearance. He sighed lightly and said indifferently, I've already said that if I don't see Ouyang Lun in 3 minutes, I'll kill a Danwu College student every minute that passes. After that, Mu Tian's gaze slowly swept across the surrounding students. Finally, it stopped on a mid-primal core stage student. In the first minute, I'll start with you. Mu Tian's face was expressionless. After saying this, his body melted into the void. In an instant, Mu Tian appeared beside the mid-primal core stage martial artist. Bang! Mu Tian threw a punch directly at the mid-primal core stage student's chest, causing him to retreat more than 10 steps. Oh yes, I've said that I'll kill a student every minute. I'm a man of my word. It hasn't even been a minute, so I'll let him live for now. In another 30 seconds, I'll kill him. Mu Tian didn't use his full strength in this punch. In fact, he only used less than 5% of his strength. But even so, the mid-primal core stage student couldn't withstand it, and his aura was extremely weak. The rest of the Danwu College students and even the Danwu College tutors didn't dare to step forward to help after seeing the miserable state of this mid-primal core stage student. The situation was already very clear. Whoever stepped forward to help would also end up in the same miserable state. Tick-tock, time passed second by second. 30 seconds. Every second that passed was like a stone pounding on the hearts of the crowd. Especially the mid-primal core stage student who had fallen to the ground, his face was deathly pale. These 30 seconds might be the last of his life. Dean, it'll be too late if we delay any longer, Patriarch Jumo said hurriedly from afar. Patriarch Jumo knew that Mu Feng wasn't the strongest person in Danwu College. Only Mu Feng could call out the strongest person in Danwu College. The others didn't have the slightest idea what to do. Wait a little longer. Mu Feng's expression was solemn as he said in a low voice, I'll call for help in the last 10 seconds. In fact, Mu Feng was also helpless. Patriarch Ju Mo didn't know the full story. Although the strongest person in Danwu College was powerful, he had only agreed to help Danwu College 3 times. Out of the 3 times, 2 had already been used. If the 3rd time was used, Danwu College might be besieged by various forces for a long time to come. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, unless it was a life-and-death juncture, or the moment when the Danwu Academy was completely annihilated, Mu Feng would not use the 3rd chance. Dean, there's actually another way. Patriarch Ju Mo gritted his teeth. Ouyang Lun is in the pill cavern. Why don't I inform Ningyu and ask him to bring Ouyang Lun out? It's too late. Patriarch Ju Mo took a deep breath and murmured, the pill cavern is quite far from here. 20 seconds won't be enough for a round trip. Even if it's not enough, we can't just sit and wait. We have to try. If Ouyang Lun had come a minute earlier, Danwu College would have lost one Sacred Institute student. Patriarch Jumo said fiercely. All right, go and come back quickly. I'll try to delay Mu Tianyi for another 2 minutes. Mu Feng nodded heavily. In fact, Mu Feng had long disliked Ouyang Lun. Chapter 736. No one could blame him. Please wait a moment. When Patriarch Jumo heard Mu Feng agree to his request, he hurriedly tore through the void and headed for the pill cavern. However, before Patriarch Jumo could tear through the void, an indifferent voice rang in his ears. Swish. Patriarch Jumo gritted his teeth when he heard the familiar voice. He stomped his feet and shot into the distance. I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. Mu Tian snorted when he saw Patriarch Jumo defy him. A cold light shot out from his sleeve. The cold light was extremely fast, and it arrived before Patriarch Jumo in the blink of an eye. Patriarch Jumo's expression turned grave when he saw the cold light. He hurriedly summoned the origin energy in his sea of consciousness and wrapped it around his wrist. Then, he sent out a palm print. The palm print was very small at first, but it gradually expanded as it moved forward. In the end, it expanded by several times. Kai. Moreover, the friction between the palm print and the void produced a sizzling sound. Crack. Even though Patriarch Jumo had used all his strength to execute this palm print, which had practically emptied out all the origin energy in his sea of consciousness, it was of no use. In an instant, the palm print shattered with a loud bang. Bang. Poochie. Then, 2 crisp sounds suddenly rang out. The first sound came from Patriarch Jumo crashing into the ground. The second sound came from Patriarch Jumo spitting out a mouthful of blood. The 2 sounds indicated that old ancestor Jumo had been gravely injured. Damn it. Mu Feng's face darkened when he saw Patriarch Jumo's miserable state. He couldn't help but berate, Mu Tian, don't go too far. Don't think that Danwu College has no one. Oh, I never said that Danwu College has no one. Mu Tian revealed a strange expression. Then, he changed the topic and said coldly, what I meant was that everyone from Danwu College is trash. Why? Are you not satisfied that I said that Danwu College is trash? Seeing the angry expressions on the faces of the surrounding cultivators, Mu Tian continued, if anyone is not convinced, you can come out and have a match with me. As long as you can withstand 3 of my moves, no, as long as you can withstand 1 of my moves, I will admit my mistake and take out a medicinal pill to treat those 2 pieces of trash. As he spoke, Mu Tian pointed at Patriarch Jumo and Li Tongtian. His meaning was clear. Despite Mu Tian's words, no one dared to come forward and fight him. What a joke, even old ancestor Jumo wasn't Mu Tian's match, and Mu Feng was defeated in a single move. Fighting with Mu Tian at this time was tantamount to courting death. All right, since you're all cowards, don't blame me. Seeing that no one had any intention of making a move, Mu Tian shrugged his shoulders and walked towards the fallen mid-primal core stage practitioner. As he walked, Mu Tian said, actually, I didn't want to kill you, but the time was up and no one was willing to save you. I had no choice but to kill you. Don't come looking for me after you die. If you want to blame someone, blame the students of Danwu College, the tutor, the dean. Actually, he doesn't need to blame anyone. Before Mu Tian's words faded, an indifferent voice slowly echoed from afar. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In the next moment, 4 figures sped past the entrance of the square and landed in the middle of the square. Ningyu, Ouyang Lun. The sudden appearance of several figures caused 2 exclamations in the square. The first exclamation was from Mu Feng. The second exclamation was naturally from Mu Tian. Crack crack. Ningyu's face darkened as he saw the miserable state of Mu Feng, Patriarch Jumo, and Li Tongtian. His hands were clenched so tightly that they cracked. The reason why Ningyu could arrive at the square so quickly was all because of Ouyang Lun. Not long after Mu Feng left the pill cavern, Ouyang Lun hurriedly found Ningyu and told him that the mysterious martial artist from the royal family had come to Danwu College. Moreover, Ouyang Lun said that the mysterious man had a bad temper and was eccentric. If he couldn't find Su Mo, he would most likely start a massacre. Therefore, Ningyu could only leave the Dark Emperor and Furball in the Pill Cavern while he left with the silver-winged dragon and the rest. To be on the safe side, Ningyu also left the flower bud in the Pill Cavern. After all, there was a pill puppet in the Pill Cavern. If the pill puppet attacked the Dark Emperor and Furball, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ouyang Lun, get over here. Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, Mu Tian broke the silence and scolded, "If you make me unhappy, I will flatten the capital and the royal family." Ouyang Lun heard Mu Tian's words and stood still without any intention of moving. Ouyang Lun's reaction made Mu Tian's face turn ugly. In his opinion, Ouyang Lun must have forgotten his strength. Otherwise, he would not dare to disobey him. Don't say him. No matter what you say, Ouyang Lun will not go over. Ningyu waved his hand and signaled Mu Tian to stop wasting his energy. So, Ouyang Lun has been subdued by you? Mu Tian said darkly. Whether Ouyang Lun has been subdued by me or not has nothing to do with you, right? There were many people here, and Ningyu did not want everyone to know that he had subdued Ouyang Lun. Therefore, he said indifferently, moreover, Ouyang Lun is the old ancestor of the royal family. If he was easily subdued by a martial artist in the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm, I'm afraid the royal family would have changed a long time ago. You are indeed arrogant, but I don't know if you have the capital to be arrogant. Mu Tian said coldly. As soon as Mu Tian finished speaking, he stomped his feet on the ground and dashed out in an instant. Swoosh. Mu Tian's speed was very fast, and he arrived at Ningyu's side almost in an instant. Then, Mu Tian's fist brought an extremely violent Yuan Qi gale, and it fiercely smashed towards Ningyu's head. Mu Tian did not look down on Ningyu. Because when Ningyu saw him, although he showed a strong anger, he was still very calm. It should be known that even a martial artist in the initial stage of Fate Realm would not be so calm when he saw him. Therefore, Mu Tian concluded that Ningyu was not simple. Mu Tian always used his full strength to deal with powerful geniuses, and he would not hold back. As soon as Mu Feng made his move, Ningyu's face turned solemn, and he did not dare to have the slightest neglect. In the next moment, a violent Yuan Qi fluctuation appeared on Ningyu's wrist, and it collided with Mu Tian's fist. Bang! The two fists collided, and a muffled sound suddenly rang out. Then, the two figures retreated backward. Mu Tian took 3 to 4 steps back before he stabilized his body. As for Ningyu, he only stopped after taking 5 steps back. Just from the surface, it was clear who was superior to the other in this strike. However, only Ningyu and Mu Tian knew the exact situation of the battle. His strength is so strong, to be able to block a punch with 50% of my strength. Mu Tian's eyes revealed a hint of shock, but this shock disappeared in a flash, and no one saw it. I used 40% of my strength, and this martial artist should have used 50% of his strength. After this move, although it was difficult for Ningyu to judge Mu Tian's true strength, Ningyu could be sure of one thing. Chapter 737. Men of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, to think that someone would be able to block my attack in a place as remote as the Great Xia Kingdom. Not simple indeed. Mu Tian rubbed his slightly swollen wrist and said calmly, "You're strong and talented. It would be such a waste not to be my follower." "You want me to be your follower? Have you lost your mind or are you suffering from epilepsy?" Hearing Mu Tian's words, Ningyu let out a look of disdain, not giving Mu Tian any face at all. "I, Mu Tian, love dealing with people who think they're infallible." Mu Tian wasn't angry as he continued, "I have 100 ways to kill anyone who dares to go against me." "You want to kill Ningyu? Have you asked us?" Before Ningyu could refute Mu Tian's arrogant words, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast beside him couldn't take it anymore. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were infuriated. "Kill Ningyu?" This was clearly a joke. To the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, Ningyu was a moving Shenyang pill manufacturing machine. As long as Ningyu was around, they could continue extorting Shenyang pills. Furthermore, not only did Ningyu owe them 2 Shenyang pills each, He had also promised to give them each a manifestation elixir. The manifestation elixir and Shenyang pill were indispensable items for them to break through to the early stage of the manifestation realm. If Ningyu were to be killed, who could they reason with? Therefore, they couldn't allow Mu Tian to kill Ningyu. Two trash demon beasts who haven't even reached the early stage of the manifestation realm dare to talk to me? Mu Tian snorted coldly as his body gradually turned illusory. Watch out! Seeing Mu Tian's body turn illusory, Ningyu knew that something bad was about to happen. Remember this in your next life. There are some people that trash demon beasts like you cannot afford to offend. As expected, the moment Ningyu's warning left his mouth, Mu Tian appeared behind the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. Bam! Bam! Mu Tian attacked with both his hands at the same time. Two fists containing berserk yuan qi landed on the backs of the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. The silver Quetzalcoatlus and the twin-horned beast fell forward to the ground, as if they were the Grim Reaper. Puff! Puff! The metallic taste in their throats caused the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast to spit out blood, their auras instantly dropping to the freezing point. TSK TSK TSK, I was wondering how formidable you all were, but it turns out that this is bad. Mu Tian was just about to mock them when his face warped in horror. Because he discovered that the silver Quetzalcoatlus and the twin-horned beast had disappeared for no reason. In the next moment, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast appeared at Mu Tian's side. One in front and one behind, two rays of cold light that contained monstrous energy shot towards Mu Tian at an astonishing speed. At such a close distance, Mu Tian was naturally unable to effectively defend himself. He could only use his physical body to block the two beams of cold light. However, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. Even after withstanding such a powerful sneak attack from the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, Mu Tian still looked as if nothing had happened, standing in place unscathed. Retreat! The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were rather rational. Seeing that their sneak attack had failed, they hurriedly tore through the void and flew to Ningyu's side. Ningyu, this is too difficult. We can't deal with it. I'll leave it to you, the silver-winged dragon said in a low voice. If it really doesn't work, then let's retreat. Where there's life, there's hope. The twin-horned beast was very open-minded and suggested to retreat from Danwu College. Retreat? Where do you think you're retreating to? Mu Tian's ears were very sharp. The twin-horned beast's whisper naturally did not escape his ears. So your name is Ningyu. Very well, I'll give you one last chance. Submit to me and become my follower, my dog. Not only will I spare your life, but I'll also release the many elders and students of Danwu College. Oh, right. Not only will you be my dog, but that old trash Ouyang Lun will also enjoy the same treatment as you. Mu Tian continued, how about it? You have 1 minute to consider. When the time is up, don't blame me for not giving you face. Are you that confident that you can defeat me? Ningyu did not answer Mu Tian directly. Instead, he said, you're in the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm, and so am I. Hold on. How can your middle stage of Yin-Yang realm compare to me? Forget it. It seems that the move just now has given you a lot of confidence. I'll let you know what true strength is. As soon as the word strength fell, Mu Tian stomped on the ground and flipped his wrist. A black flying sword appeared in his hand. Ningyu, watch carefully. I'll take your life with this sword. Swoosh. As Mu Tian roared, a shocking sword wave was slashed out from the sky. Kai. Wherever the sword wave passed, even the air was compressed and sizzled. The surrounding students felt the violent primordial qi contained in the sword wave and quickly retreated, staying away from the area. The fourth style of the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Art, 9 Purities Sword Wave. His from the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. Looking at the huge sword wave that was constantly attacking him, Ningyu's eyes narrowed and revealed a look of disbelief. As soon as Mu Tian executed the sword wave, Ningyu could tell that it was the fourth style of the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Art, 9 Purities Sword Wave. Generally speaking, it was almost impossible for outsiders to obtain a supreme offensive technique like the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Art. Ning-yu concluded that the Mu Tian in front of him was most likely someone from the Grand Nine Purities Palace. Let's test him. Although the Nine Purities sword wave that Mu Tian executed was powerful, Ning-yu was more familiar with it and knew how to counter it. Therefore, Mu Tian's sword wave couldn't hurt Ning-yu. In order to confirm his guess, Ning-yu decided to test Mu Tian to see if he was from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple and what kind of relationship he had with the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Palm of life and death. Ning-yu took a deep breath and the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness surged and wrapped around his palm. Then, Ning-yu withdrew his palm and yuan qi that was even more violent than the sword wave appeared on the palm. Crack. The Nine Purities sword wave that Mu Tian executed was only the fourth style of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art, while the palm of life and death that Ning-yu executed was the sixth style of the netherworld samsara palm. The result was obvious. A cracking sound could be heard as Mu Tian's nine clear sword ripple was instantly split in half. After shattering the sword wave, the blood-colored palm did not stop. It continued to attack, wanting to kill Mu Tian. You think I'm a sick cat if I don't show my power? Seeing that the Nine Purities sword wave was shattered, Mu Tian snorted and waved the flying sword in his hand again. In an instant, an even larger sword wave appeared in the air and collided with the blood-colored palm in the air. Crack, crack. This time, the palm and the sword wave were evenly matched. Neither could do anything to the other and both dissipated between heaven and earth. He should be from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Seeing the second sword wave that Mu Tian executed, Ning-yu could basically confirm that Mu Tian was from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Absolute sword wave. Chapter 738. Chapter 738. Turning into a trick. Ning-yu, the palm attack you just performed should be your strongest move at this stage, right? Mu Tian held the black flying sword in his hand and said sinisterly, I'm not afraid to tell you that the two sword waves are just the appetizer. The main event is coming up next. After saying that, the vitality in Mu Tian's consciousness surged out and was injected into the black flying sword in his hand. Buzz. As the vitality continued to be injected, the black flying sword in Mu Tian's hand vibrated slightly. If I'm not mistaken, Mu Tian is going to perform the sixth form of the Supreme Nine Purity sword skill, Solitaire. Ning-yu knew what Mu Tian was going to do as soon as he stuck his butt out. However, the power of Mu Tian's Nine Purity sword wave and absolute sword wave was just so. In fact, they were not even as powerful as Ning-yu's. Therefore, Ning-yu was not worried that Mu Tian would perform Solitaire. At most, Mu Tian had only cultivated Solitaire to the extreme. Swoosh. However, what happened next completely overturned Ning-yu's understanding. In the air, an unusually huge sword wave was formed. Solitaire. Looking at the huge sword wave in the air, Ning-yu's pupils contracted and he wore a look of disbelief. In fact, it was no wonder that Ning-yu was dumbfounded. Not only was the sword wave much bigger than what he had performed, but its power was also on a different level. At that moment, Ning-yu thought of a possibility. Could it be that I haven't cultivated Solitaire to the extreme? Ning-yu thought that he had cultivated Solitaire to the extreme. However, it seemed like he was wrong, extremely wrong. Judging from the Solitaire that Mu Tian had performed, he had only grasped the surface of Solitaire. He had not even reached the beginner level. This was King awkward. Alright, I want to see what's so special about your Solitaire. Since he didn't know much about Solitaire, Ning-yu decided to take the risk and observe Mu Tian's Solitaire up close. Because only in this way could he improve further and cultivate Solitaire to the extreme. Although Ning-yu had such thoughts, he was not a fool. He knew that he had to protect himself. Shio. While rushing towards the huge sword wave, Ning-yu released all of his soul power and stuck it on the surface of his body. Not only that, Ning-yu also controlled the essence qi in his sea of consciousness to form a hidden protective barrier around his body, forming the first line of defense. With 2 layers of protection, Ning-yu dared to charge toward the sword wave without any fear. He wanted to get to the bottom of it. Not only did the students in the plaza not notice the 2 layers of protection that Ning-yu had set up, even Mu Tian did not notice anything amiss. Overestimating yourself. Mu Tian cupped his fists and kept the black flying sword. His eyes emitted a frightening radiance. Whoosh. Mu Tian didn't have much of a reaction, but the students in the plaza were in an uproar. What is Ning Yu going to do? Does he think that he can resist the sword wave with his bare hands? Crazy, Ning Yu must be crazy. Old Dean, hurry and stop Ning Yu. He's clearly courting death by doing this. Ning Yu's sudden reaction caused a commotion among the students in the plaza. In the end, there was even a student who reminded Mu Feng to stop Ning Yu. At this moment, Mu Feng was really suffering in silence. After being heavily injured by Mu Tian, his aura had dropped to the freezing point, and he couldn't recover. He didn't know what Mu Tian did to him, but no matter how he recovered, no matter what elixirs he took, it was of no use. What is this kid doing? In a corner of the plaza, Silver-Winged Dragon frowned, puzzled. How would I know what he's doing? But don't worry, Ning Yu is a smart kid. He definitely won't do something he's not confident in. The twin-horned beast curled its lips. That's true. Silver-Winged Dragon thought about it, and felt that what the twin-horned beast said made sense. Ever since they knew Ning Yu, it seemed that Ning Yu had never truly fallen into a dangerous situation. This time, it seemed that Ning Yu was in danger, but there was actually something fishy. After all, with Ning Yu's strength, if he wanted to run, he could definitely escape. Since Ning Yu wanted to take the risk, it naturally meant that he had his reasons. Crack. While everyone was still discussing, in midair, Ning Yu had already arrived in front of Solitaire. 1 second before Ning Yu arrived in front of Solitaire, the next second, the first line of defense around him, the Yuan Qi light shield, was directly crushed by the terrifying pressure. I have some idea. The shattering of the Yuan Qi light shield did not stop Ning Yu from continuing forward. He discovered a clue, discovered that the solitaire that Mu Tian used was slightly different from the one he used. Ning Yu decided to continue forward, to observe solitaire from a closer distance. Crack, crack, as Ning Yu advanced without any regard for the consequences, it caused the Yuan Qi light shield around him to completely shatter. Whoosh. Ning Yu would not let this Yuan Qi go to waste. He opened his mouth and sucked the Yuan Qi back into his body. Kai. As Ning Yu absorbed the Yuan Qi, his body continued to advance. This time, what was destroyed was the second line of defense formed by the late-stage 6th grade Soul Force. I know, it's the Soul Force. Just before the second line of defense was completely destroyed, Ning Yu's eyes revealed a shocked expression, and he hurriedly retreated. Rumble. If it were not for Ning Yu's quick retreat, he would probably have been seriously injured. Because he did not retreat far, Solitaire suddenly exploded, a huge shockwave spreading in all directions. Although Ning Yu had left a step earlier, he was also the person in this area closest to the explosion, so naturally, he was affected the most. Fart. Suffering the impact of the Solitaire's explosion, although Ning Yu was prepared, he still spat out a large mouthful of blood, and his aura was slightly weakened. However, compared to the students around the square, the weakening of Ning Yu's aura was negligible. Ayo, my hand. My leg. My eyes, I can't see. Around the square, most of the students with low cultivation were paralyzed on the ground, some covering their hands, some covering their legs. There were even some students covering their eyes. Obviously, these students were affected by the shockwave of the Solitaire's explosion, and they suffered unprecedented injuries. Ning Yu, don't force yourself. Even in the Grand Supreme, even in my sect, the power of this sword wave can be ranked in the top 5. The corner of Mu Tian's mouth curled up slightly, and he smiled sinisterly. If you can't take it, kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. That way, I can give you a quick death, and you won't die for no reason. Cough, cough. Hearing Mu Tian's words, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly coughed twice. In order to make it seem more realistic, Ning Yu covered his mouth with his hand, and even coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. Oh no, Ning Yu is injured. Seeing Ning Yu coughing out blood, Mu Feng's heart sank to the bottom. The current situation was obvious. As long as Ning Yu could not defeat Mu Tian, everyone would be finished. Chapter 739. Defeat you, we can't wait any longer. We have to inform the senior. Mu Feng gritted his teeth and forced out a few drops of blood essence to burn despite his heavily injured body. Kai Kai. While he was burning his blood essence, Mu Feng said in a low voice, "Senior, I've decided to use the third chance now. Please step forward and kill Mu Tian immediately." After Mu Feng finished speaking, he anxiously waited, hoping that the so-called senior would appear as soon as possible. Now is not the time for me to act. Let's wait a little longer. After a while, a powerful voice resounded in Mu Feng's mind. What the hell are we waiting for? If we wait any longer, Ningyu will be killed. Mu Feng said anxiously and even cursed. Ningyu won't be defeated so easily. The vigorous voice continued, let me give you a heads up first. This time, it is not just Mu Tian who came to the Danwu Academy. Whoosh. Hearing the voice in his head, Mu Feng's heart thumped. Senior, it seems that there is another heaven-defying existence hidden in Danwu College. Thinking of this, Mu Feng's face turned ashen. He was the old dean of Danwu College, the guardian of all the students of Danwu College. In the hearts of Danwu College's students, as long as he was around, outsiders wouldn't dare to behave atrociously in Danwu College. Now, he could only rely on Ningyu to support himself. Failure. What a failure. As the dean of Danwu College, Mu Feng felt that he was a failure. After this incident, he decided to abdicate his position and let Ningyu take over the position of dean. Of course, this was all for later. The most important thing now was whether or not Ningyu would compromise. Mu Tian, you are indeed very strong. Ningyu took out a piece of cloth from his bosom and wiped the blood on his palm. He said lightly, "You want me to kneel down and kowtow to you? That's not impossible." Voila. When Ningyu said this, the faces of the surrounding students turned ashen, looking extremely unsightly. However, I have a request. Ningyu didn't care about the reactions of the students around him. He changed the topic and said, "Before I kneel before you, I want to see you use solitaire one more time." What? You know that I executed the solitary sword surge. Mu Tian's eyes widened when he heard Ningyu's words, and he berated, "Speak. Who the hell are you?" Ningyu did not answer Mu Tian. Instead, he pretended to drag his tired body forward step by step. Humph. You will pay for your arrogance. Seeing that Ningyu was ignoring him, Mu Tian harumphed coldly and dashed out. Mu Tian's speed was very fast. He arrived at Ningyu's side almost in the blink of an eye. Since you want me to perform the solitary sword wave again, I'll perform it for you to see. Mu Tian held the black flying sword in his hand and instantly slashed out a sword wave that was as thick as an arm. In Mu Tian's opinion, he didn't need to use his full strength to deal with the severely injured Ningyu. A solitaire with 50% of its strength was enough to kill Ningyu. Hehe, Mu Tian, you've been tricked. Sensing that the power of Mu Tian's solitaire had been reduced by half, Ningyu grinned and his aura suddenly exploded. Today, I'll let you know that you're not the only one who can use solitaire. I can do it too. As soon as he finished his sentence, a blood-red flying sword appeared in Ningyu's hand. Under Mu Tian's shocked gaze, Ningyu also slashed out a sword wave that was as thick as an arm. Pust pust pust. However, the sword wave that Ningyu slashed out was obviously more powerful than Mu Tian's. In fact, it was much more powerful. What? You can also use solitaire? This is impossible. Mu Tian was dumbfounded. Before he came to the Great Xia Kingdom, if someone told him that he would meet a martial artist who could use solitaire in the Great Xia Kingdom, he would probably give that person a slap. However, some things always happened in an inexplicable and unexpected manner. No, 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 no. Could it be that person's son? Suddenly, Mu Tian seemed to have thought of a possibility. His expression instantly changed from being dumbfounded to ecstasy. Crack. The ecstasy on Mu Tian's face didn't last for long as he was attracted by a cracking sound. In mid-air, the two solitaire collided with each other. Although Mu Tian had a deeper understanding of solitaire, he only used 50% of his strength while Ningyu used his full strength. Under such circumstances, the solitaire that he executed was directly shattered. At the crucial moment, Mu Tian waved the flying sword in his hand continuously, trying to slash out solitaire again. The ideal was great, but the reality was harsh. Before Mu Tian could slash out solitaire, he realized that the space in front of him was surging. Immediately after, the space was completely torn apart, and a figure rushed out from within. Swoosh! The figure that rushed out from the space was none other than Ning Yu. Ning Yu took advantage of the moment when Mu Tian let his guard down to use the Red Devil sword to quietly tear through the void and come to Mu Tian's side. Ning Yu gathered all the essence in his sea of consciousness on his wrist. He threw a punch that brought along a monstrous force of essence and punched at Mu Tian's chest. To be honest, if Ning Yu didn't know that Mu Tian's mother in this life was from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, he wouldn't have punched at Mu Tian's chest. Instead, he would have punched at Mu Tian's heart. Poof! Mu Tian's reaction was already very fast, but Ning Yu was even faster. Before he could react, Ning Yu's fist had already hit his chest. The huge force from his chest caused Mu Tian to feel a sweetness in his throat. He immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Crack crack. After spitting out the blood, Mu Tian first clenched his fists, then wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He said viciously, "Ning Yu, I'm going to tear you into pieces just because of this punch. There are many people who want to tear me into pieces, but you're not the only one." Ning Yu automatically ignored Mu Tian's words and said calmly, "If you weren't from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, my punch just now would have been enough to take your life." "Take my life?" Me. Even a martial artist in the advanced stage of the manifestation realm can forget about killing me, let alone you. Mu Tian snorted coldly. Even a martial artist in the advanced stage of the manifestation realm can forget about killing you? Ning Yu thought that Mu Tian was joking. Given Mu Tian's current state, any martial artist in the Yuandan realm could kill him, let alone a martial artist in the advanced stage of the manifestation realm. Ning Yu couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Mu Tian. To deal with such a person, he should at least let him have a taste of pain. Otherwise, who would pay for the pain that Li Tongtian, Mu Feng, and the rest had suffered? "I'd like to see what makes you so arrogant." Ning Yu wasn't the kind of person who only talked and did not do anything. He would do what he said. The next moment, he stomped on the ground and charged towards Mu Tian at a shocking speed. Looking at the approaching Ning Yu, Mu Tian crossed his arms in front of his chest. He had no intention of resisting. It was as though he had Ning Yu in his grasp. Mu Tian's reaction was a little out of Ning Yu's expectations. Oh no. Chapter 740. The first move **T. Ning Yu's expression changed drastically when he sensed the violent gust of wind in front of him. This turn of events had obviously exceeded his expectations. He had not expected a powerful cultivator to be hiding in the surroundings. Being able to hide from his senses meant that the other party's cultivation base was very high. There was no time for him to think about these messy things. Ning Yu raised his right hand and a violent wave of yuan qi appeared in his palm. Then, with a piercingly cold murderous intent, it exploded. To be on the safe side, Ning Yu had even wrapped his advanced stage 6th grade soul power and the azure spiritual fire that he had not used for a long time around his fist. Against a powerful cultivator, he had to give it his all. Otherwise, he would die a horrible death. Crack! In the next moment, the two fists collided and a crisp sound rang out in the area. After the attack, Ning Yu hurriedly took a few steps back. He glared at the grey-robed elder and said in a deep voice, "Who are you?" Although it was a hasty exchange, Ning Yu could basically tell that the elder before him was very powerful. His cultivation base was at least in the mid-stage of the manifestation realm. However, Ning Yu was a little confused. Logically speaking, it was difficult for a mid-stage manifestation realm cultivator to hide from his senses. Could there be another cultivator hiding in the void? Hihi, it doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that you have offended young Master Mu Tian, so you must pay the price. The grey-robed elder laughed sinisterly. "I'll give you two choices now. 1. Cripple your own hands, kneel down and admit your mistake. 2. Pay when, stop talking. No matter what, I will take Ning Yu's life today." Mu Tian interrupted the grey-robed elder with a vicious expression. "Young Master Mu Tian, this kid is protected. You can't kill him. The grey-robed man called Pei Wen purposely lowered his voice and said, "Don't go overboard. Otherwise, we might die at Danwu College." Impossible. Hearing this, Mu Tian's eyes widened as he said coldly, "Elder who is a pinnacle expert. Not to mention Danwu College, even in the entire Great Xia Kingdom, there is no one who can go against him. Although you don't believe me, it is the truth. Leave this matter to me. Don't interfere. I promise to give you a satisfactory explanation," Pei Wen said. In fact, Pei Wen felt helpless. His cultivation level was indeed at the middle stage of the blessed realm, and he seemed to be the strongest person present. But reality was different. In terms of cultivation, he was only the third strongest in this area, because there were two terrifying auras hidden in the void. The first terrifying aura came from Hu Jian, Elder Hu of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. The second terrifying aura came from the depths of Danwu College. As for its strength, it was likely that even Elder Hu was a little afraid of it. Otherwise, with Elder Hu's character, he would surely not give such a kind reminder. After all, in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Elder Hu was famous for his bad temper. Pei Wen, I'll tell you a secret. Mu Tian also knew that Pei Wen would not speak nonsense. He rolled his eyes and decided to come up with a plan to use Pei Wen. What secret? Pei Wen was puzzled. Mu Tian moved slightly closer to Pei Wen and whispered a few words in his ear. What? No one knew what Mu Tian said to Pei Wen, but it made Pei Wen jump. At the same time, Pei Wen stared at Ningyu with a burning gaze like a hungry wolf staring at a wild rabbit. After all, Pei Wen was a middle-stage blessed realm martial artist, so he tried his best to control himself and asked, "Is the news reliable?" "Absolutely. You won't get another chance if you miss this one. Think about it carefully." Mu Tian said this and did not say anything else. "All right. 1 second." Pei Wen only thought for 1 second, and he had decided on a major matter. Before the burning look on his face disappeared, Pei Wen turned to stare at Ningyu and said, "I've changed my mind. As long as you can take 3 moves from me, I'll let you live." "You want me to take 3 moves from you?" Ningyu frowned, not knowing what Pei Wen was up to. "Ningyu, agree to it." Just as Ningyu was secretly thinking, the Red Fiend's voice sounded in his mind. "But you have to change the rules. You have to use a sword for these 3 moves." "I have to use a sword?" Ningyu's heart skipped a beat as he asked in confusion. "That's right. This mid-stage blessed realm martial artist clearly wants you dead. In that case, you might as well make use of his mentality and attack first." The Red Fiend nodded. "Hey, kid, be more straightforward." Ningyu still wanted to say something, but Pei Wen seemed a little impatient. He said, "This is your only chance to live. If you miss it, then, don't be long-winded. Isn't it just 3 moves? I'll agree to it." Ningyu first interrupted Pei Wen's words, then immediately changed the topic and said, "But I have a request. We have to use a sword for these 3 moves." "Use a sword? I don't care what you use. In short, 3 moves. If I block it, I'll live, but if I don't, I'll die." Pei Wen did not care what these 3 moves were used. To him, anything could easily kill Ningyu. It was just that, in order to not be discovered, Pei Wen decided to use his full strength in the second move and kill Ningyu. This way, even if that powerhouse from Danwu College wanted to make a move to stop it, it would be too late. Moreover, Hu Jian would definitely not look on with folded arms when the powerhouse from Danwu College made a move. By the time a victor was decided, Ningyu would have long been killed until not even dregs remained. Swoosh. In the next instant, Pei Wen took out a flying sword from his bosom. The flying sword was silvery white in color, containing violent essence energy undulations. A peak low-grade king rank flying sword. The flying sword Pei Wen utilized was a peak low-grade king rank flying sword, and its might was extremely formidable. With the peak low-grade king rank flying sword in hand, Pei Wen arrived before Ningyu with a few leaps, and then he slashed out with his sword towards Ningyu's head. First move. Pei Wen shouted loudly. Swish. When they saw Pei Wen's mighty sword strike, the eyes of the surrounding students opened wide, and they revealed astounded expressions. How could Ning Yu possibly resist the full strength of an intermediate stage creation realm martial artist? For a time, everyone looked down upon Ning Yu, and it was even to the extent that some students started sighing. Alas, it's over, it's completely over. I originally thought that Ning Yu could become the savior of the world, but who would have imagined that Ning Yu isn't inferior to this powerhouse? Ning Yu has already done very well, but it's a pity that this powerhouse possesses a cultivation at the intermediate stage of the creation realm. Right, if Ning Yu advances to the creation realm, then he can surely become the guardian of Danwu College. What? The last student hadn't finished speaking when his mouth opened slightly while his pupils opened wide, and he seemed as if he'd seen something unbelievable. Everyone's gazes moved along the direction of this student's palm towards the center of the battlefield. Swoosh. It was fine if they didn't look, but once they did, it directly caused all the students to be dumbstruck on the spot. Crack. At the center of the battlefield, Ning Yu held the red devil sword in his hand as he slashed down from midair. A clear sound resounded out, and the outcome caused Pei Wen to be shocked. Exactly what flying sword is that in Ning Yu's hand? It actually slashed apart my low-grade king rank flying sword? Chapter 741. To refrain from shooting the rat for fear of harming the innocent. At the thought of this, Pei Wen's face burned with passion. His cultivation was at the middle stage of the creation realm. If he could obtain a royal-grade flying sword, he could even fight against martial artists at the late stage of the creation realm or even at the peak of the creation realm. May I ask, what's your name? Just as Pei Wen was feeling ecstatic, Ning Yu's voice suddenly rang in his ears. Pei Wen answered instinctively. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Pei Wen's pupils constricted, and he wanted to retreat. This was because he realized that Ning Yu had already appeared beside him at some point in time. At this moment, he was holding a red flying sword and stabbing it straight at his heart. At such a close distance, coupled with the fact that Pei Wen was completely defenseless, there was naturally no way for him to dodge. Puff! Ning Yu gripped the red demon sword in his hand and stabbed out, piercing right into Pei Wen's heart. Hong Mo, don't leave anyone alive. Ning Yu was no saint. Pei Wen had already made it very clear that he wanted to kill him. If he still showed mercy, it would definitely be somewhat inexcusable. Therefore, after succeeding in his attack, Ning Yu instructed the Red Fiend in the Red Fiend sword. Kill him. Actually, there was no need for Ning Yu to say that. The moment the Red Fiend sword pierced Pei Wen's heart, the Red Fiend controlled the Red Fiend sword to unleash a powerful devouring force that frantically devoured Pei Wen. Kai Kai. The devouring power of the Red Demon Sword was extremely terrifying. Hiss. Although Mu Feng and old ancestor Ju Mo had witnessed the power of the Red Demon Sword in the forbidden area of Danwu College, they still felt a lingering fear when they saw this familiar scene. As for the surrounding students, they stood rooted to the ground, dumbfounded. In just a few seconds, a martial artist in the intermediate stage of the creation realm was killed just like that. Moreover, this martial artist in the middle stage of the manifestation realm had died in an extremely cruel manner. Only his skeleton was left lying flat on the ground. Ning Yu, you killed Pei Wen. The person who was most shocked by Pei Wen's death was none other than Mu Tian. Mu Tian would never have imagined that Pei Wen, who was in the middle stage of the blessed realm, would actually die at the hands of Ning Yu, and in such a brutal manner. He's just a martial artist in the middle stage of the manifestation realm. So what if he's dead? What's there to be surprised about? Ning Yu shrugged and said calmly, don't worry. Now that Pei Wen is dead, you'll be next. Do you really think you can kill me? Suddenly, Mu Tian became abnormally calm, terrifyingly calm. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Ning Yu didn't care if Mu Tian was cold or not. To him, he had to capture Mu Tian alive. If they couldn't capture him alive, then they would kill him. Whoosh. Ning Yu flicked his wrist and recalled the red demon sword. Then, he tore through the void and charged toward Mu Tian. Looking at Ning Yu getting closer and closer, Mu Tian's lips curled into a smile. He actually closed his eyes in front of so many people. Has Mu Tian lost his mind? I guess so. He dares to close his eyes while fighting against Ning Yu. He must be tired of living. Pei Wen, who is in the middle stage of the manifestation realm, is no match for Ning Yu. Does Mu Tian think he can easily kill a martial artist in the middle stage of the manifestation realm? Seeing Mu Tian close his eyes, Ning Yu's reaction was different from that of the other students. He was very careful. At the same time, he quietly released his perception. I'm going to kill him. After releasing his perception, Ning Yu immediately cursed. Because he realized that an extremely powerful aura was flying toward him at high speed. Although this martial artist had yet to tear through the void and appear in front of everyone, Ning Yu could tell that this martial artist's cultivation was at least in the late stage of the manifestation realm. It was even possible that he had reached the peak of the manifestation realm. It was true that when the young were beaten, the old came. When the old were beaten, the one who was about to enter the grave came. The moment he sensed the powerful aura, Ning Yu decided to flee. He fled at high speed. However, the second after Ning Yu made the decision to flee, he realized that an equally terrifying aura was gradually appearing on the other side. I'm going all out. I have to capture Mu Tian first no matter what. Ning Yu had heard from Mu Feng that there were martial artists in Danwu College who were more powerful than him. Now that two powerful auras had appeared at the same time, it was needless to say that one was the person behind Mu Tian, and the other was definitely a hidden powerhouse in Danwu College. Forgive and forget. Mu Tian is not someone you can offend. If you know what's good for you, you'd better stop. A powerful voice rang in Ning Yu's ears. It shook Ning Yu so much that he was on the verge of collapsing. However, Ning Yu knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He would definitely not give up so easily. It's best that you don't interfere in the fight between the younger generation. After the powerful voice rang, faint laughter also rang in the area, directly dispelling the loud noise in Ning Yu's ears, causing Ning Yu to wake up completely. No. When Ning Yu woke up, it was naturally Mu Tian's nightmare. At this moment, Mu Tian's heart was filled with mixed feelings, as if he had eaten *T. Mu Tian had placed all his hopes on Hu Jian. Now that Hu Jian was blocked, and he pretended to not resist, the result was obvious. Fart. Fresh blood spurted out. Mu Tian's aura dropped rapidly. In just a second, Mu Tian's aura dropped from the early stage of Yin-Yang realm to the true martial realm. When his aura dropped to the true martial realm, Mu Tian was like a little chick in Ning Yu's hand. Hu Jian's expression was terrible. Mu Tian's position in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple was very high. If he was killed in the Da Xia Kingdom, even if he returned, he would not be able to explain. Damn it, Danwu College also has a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm. Hu Jian glanced at the old man beside him and cursed in his heart. Hu Jian was very helpless. As the saying went, a powerful dragon could not suppress a snake in its own territory. Moreover, he was not a powerful dragon, and his strength was at most on par with the old man. If they really fought, it was unknown who would win and who would lose. Seeing the old man appear, Mu Feng hurriedly sent a soul message. Senior, I have decided to use the third chance to kill this expert. Dean Mu, I can't fulfill your request. The old man took a deep breath and replied, the expert you want me to kill has a cultivation similar to mine. Similar to yours. Hearing the old man's words, Mu Feng's eyes widened. Similar to the old man's cultivation? Didn't that mean that this expert's cultivation had reached the peak of the manifestation realm? At this moment, a wave of despair rose in Mu Feng's heart. According to the agreement between Danwu College and the old man, after the third chance was used, the old man would leave Danwu College. As long as the old man left Danwu College, how could Danwu College resist this expert at the peak of the manifestation realm? Ning Yu did not know the worries in Mu Feng's heart. He only had one thought in his mind, and that was to control Mu Tian. As long as he could control Mu Tian, the martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm before him would definitely hesitate to attack. Ning Yu, you saw it too. Hu Jian's cultivation is at the peak of the manifestation realm. If you kill me, he will definitely start a massacre in Danwu College. Chapter 742. A foolproof plan. Your father holds a high position in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. If I remember correctly, other than the Palace Lord, there are also 9 Supreme Elders in the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. I wonder if your father is the Palace Lord or the Supreme Elder? Ning Yu asked calmly. My father is one of the top 5 Supreme Elders in the Supreme 9 Purities Temple, Mu Tian said proudly. With my father's ability, not only can he let you enter the Supreme 9 Purities Temple, he can even make you an inner disciple. No, he can make you a core disciple. To me, this is indeed a great temptation. Ning Yu took a deep breath and made a longing expression. Seeing that Ning Yu was about to be convinced by him, Mu Tian's eyes flickered as he continued, Ning Yu, your innate talent is one of the best even in the Supreme 9 Purities Palace. Why do you need to stay in a place like the Great Xia Kingdom where even birds don't shit? As long as you fall for it, I have 100 ways to kill you. Mu Tian snorted in his heart. Words are no proof. You have to show some sincerity, Ning Yu said indifferently. What sincerity? Mu Tian raised his brows and asked doubtfully. It's very simple. Ning Yu pointed at Mu Feng and the others not far away and said, you barged into the Dan Wu Academy indiscriminately and injured many students and instructors. Even the old dean was injured by you. We have to settle this score properly. I was wondering what it was. It's simple. Mu Tian waved his hand, not taking this matter to heart. He flicked his sleeve and a storage bag flew out. Pa. Ning Yu grabbed the storage bag and at the same time, sent a part of his perception into the storage bag. Just these few crystals? Are you sure you're not trying to get rid of a beggar? After a while, Ning Yu retracted his perception and shook the storage bag in his hand with a cold expression. Pu. Ning Yu's words caused Mu Tian to spit out a mouthful of blood, leaving him stunned on the spot. Others might not know how many crystals were in the storage pouch, but Mu Tian was very clear about it. 1 million royal grade origin crystals. In order to obtain Ning Yu's trust, Mu Tian gave Ning Yu an entire 1 million royal grade essence crystals. Unexpectedly, Ning Yu said it wasn't enough. Let's do it this way. Double the price and we'll write it off. Ning Yu shrugged. Damn it. Mu Tian cursed. However, he had no choice but to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. Moreover, he still had to gain Ning Yu's trust. You can't catch the wolf without risking the child. You can't catch the tiger cub without entering the tiger's den. At this moment, Mu Tian did not know why he was bewitched, but he suddenly thought of this sentence. Here. Mu Tian pondered for a second. A second later, he threw another storage bag to Ning Yu. Ning Yu did not even check how many royal grade origin crystals were in the storage bag and directly threw it into his storage ring. I've done everything according to what you said. Can you let me go now? Mu Tian said when he saw Ning Yu keep the storage bag. Let you go? Why should I let you go? Ning Yu's mouth opened slightly as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He said with a smile, your backer is a peak manifestation realm martial artist. Wouldn't I be courting death if I let you go? You're going back on your words. Mu Tian's expression darkened instantly as he said coldly, I never go back on my words because I never said that I would rely on you from the start. I just want you to show some sincerity. Your sincerity to Dean Mu is enough, but not to me, Ning Yu said indifferently. What sincerity do you want? Mu Tian gritted his teeth and said, this amount. Ning Yu extended a finger and said, if you want me to let you go, you need at least 10 million royal grade origin crystals. Gasp. This request raised by Ning Yu not only made Mu Tian suck in a breath of cold air, but even Hu Jian and the surrounding students also sucked in a breath of cold air. An exorbitant demand, truly an exorbitant start. Hu Jian's expression was similarly very ugly. Originally, he thought that Mu Tian could use royal grade origin crystals to bribe Ning Yu. Who could have thought that Ning Yu was a wolf cub that could not be fed to his fill and was even more sinister and cunning than them? Since that was the case, Hu Jian decided to teach Ning Yu a lesson. But before that, Hu Jian had to finish off the old man opposite him, because the old man's cultivation was the same as his, both peak manifestation realm. The two were equally matched. Old man, I don't care who you are, but this is a personal grudge between the Supreme 9 Purities Temple and Ning Yu. If you interfere, It's going against the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Hu Jian shouted coldly. Haha, Ning, you can represent Danwu College, but can you represent the Supreme Nine Purities Temple? Opposite Hu Jian, the old man said with a faint smile. Humph. Mu Tian's father is the Supreme Nine Purities Temple's fifth Grand Elder. He can naturally represent the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Hu Jian said with a cold snort. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Anyway, with me around, you can forget about behaving atrociously in Danwu College. Finished saying this sentence, the old man shut his eyes and did not speak anymore. Courting death. The old man's words thoroughly stirred up Hu Jian. Even in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, martial artists who dared to talk to him like this were not many. He did not expect that he ran into a rebuff in Danwu College. Swoosh. With a low roar, Mu Tian instantly dashed out, stirring up gusts of wind around him. Buzz. Wherever Mu Tian passed, the void even emitted a slight tremor. Bang. In the next instant, Mu Tian's fist collided with the old man. After the clash, the two figures rapidly retreated. Judging from the distance they retreated, the old man had the upper hand. Old fart. Although it was only a short exchange, Hu Jian could determine that the old man's strength was slightly stronger than his. It was almost impossible for him to kill the old man. However, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens for the old man to kill him. However, just as Hu Jian was about to use his second move, a scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered rang out in the area. Hu Jian hurriedly stopped and looked in the direction of the sound. Brat, do you have a death wish? It would have been fine if he did not look, but the moment he did, Hu Jian was on the verge of exploding in anger. In the distance, Ningyu slapped Mu Tian's face several times, each slap landing on his face. At this moment, Mu Tian's cheeks were extremely swollen, and his head was several times bigger than an ordinary pig's head. Only a 100-year-old pig's head could compare to Mu Tian. Of course I want to live. Ningyu slapped Mu Tian a few more times before stopping. Hu Jian clenched his fists so hard that cracking sounds could be heard, and he shouted in a deep voice, I think you have a death wish. It's not impossible for me to let Mu Tian go, but I have two requests. Ningyu said calmly. In fact, when Hu Jian and the old man were fighting, Ningyu had already learned from Mu Feng about the agreement between the old man and Danwu College. After this attack, the old man would leave Danwu College completely. Based on Hu Jian and Mu Tian's anger, once the old man left, they would definitely start a massacre in Danwu College. Therefore, Ningyu had to think of a foolproof plan, and the key to this foolproof plan was Mu Tian. Chapter 743. Requirements. Right now, not only was Mu Tian's breathing weak, even his eyes were swollen until he could not see anything. Even if Ningyu played some tricks on him, he had no way of knowing either. Although Hu Jian was paying attention to Ningyu, he had to pay attention to the elderly man at all times to prevent the elderly man from sneaking an attack. Reaching their level of strength, the slightest distraction and they might very well be killed mercilessly. After all, Ningyu was a peak grade 9 alchemy master in his previous life. Hence, he chose the safest method, which was to quietly inject a wisp of soul force into Mu Tian's body. In order to prevent Hu Jian from discovering any inklings, Ningyu chose to beat Mu Tian into a pig's head. Firstly, he could vent his anger. Secondly, he could divert attention. State your requirements. Hu Jian forcefully suppressed the rage in his heart and said in a solemn voice. Hu Jian could ignore Pei Wen's death. But Mu Tian could not. Once Mu Tian was killed, he would suffer a calamity too. No matter what price he had to pay, he had to protect Mu Tian. Protecting Mu Tian was his bottom line. As for the injuries on Mu Tian's body, he would slowly settle with Ningyu in the future. The first request, this is between us. I don't wish for you guys to implicate Danwu College. From today onwards, you guys are not allowed to take half a step into Danwu College. Ningyu said. The second request, take out another 2 million pieces of king-grade essence crystals to redeem Mu Tian. Hearing these two requests of Ningyu, Hu Jian's expression was very ugly. The second request was not a problem to him at all. 2 million pieces of king-grade essence crystals, he could take it out easily. The first request made him very angry. In Hu Jian's heart, Ningyu would be killed by him sooner or later. Even if he ran to the ends of the world, it would not work. If he agreed to Ningyu's first request, and Ningyu hid in Danwu College for the rest of his life, wouldn't he suffer a loss? Suffering a loss was a small matter. If demonic thoughts were left in his heart, it would have a huge impact on him, impacting the Supreme Realm. One could say that if the demonic thoughts in his heart were not resolved, he could forget about impacting the Supreme Realm for the rest of his life. I know what you're worried about. Don't worry, I won't stay at Danwu College forever. Naturally, Ningyu knew what Hu Jian was thinking. He said faintly, I will leave Danwu College in 3 to 7 days. To be honest, Ningyu felt very helpless. He knew that he couldn't push them too hard. Otherwise, they would be the ones to suffer. Sigh, my strength is still too low. Ningyu looked at the old man in midair and sighed. All right. Just because of what you said, I'll agree to your 2 request. Hu Jian flicked his sleeves and a storage bag flew out, flying towards Ningyu. Hu Jian wasn't afraid that Ningyu would go back on his word because he knew that Ningyu wouldn't dare to. Ningyu was definitely afraid that he would contact the people from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Ningyu grabbed the storage pouch firmly and inspected it for a moment before tossing it into his storage ring. Here you go. After that, Ningyu kicked Mu Tian's butt, sending him flying out. Woo woo. Mu Tian couldn't even tell his nose from his mouth. All he could do was let out a whimper. Ningyu, remember what you said. 3 to 7 days at least. Hu Jian caught Mu Tian and said coldly, if I don't see you in 7 days, don't blame me for going back on our agreement. After saying that, Hu Jian tore through the void and disappeared with the severely injured Mu Tian. The people from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple have appeared in the Great Xia Kingdom. It seems like it's not safe for them to stay in the Great Xia Kingdom anymore. I have to inform them and ask them to leave as soon as possible. After Hu Jian left, the old man's expression was extremely grave. The 3rd chance was already used up in Danwu College, and there was naturally no need for the old man to stay. He tore through the void and vanished in a blink of the eye. When he saw the old man vanishing, Mu Feng just stood up and slumped back onto the ground. Dean Mu, distribute these King-grade essence crystals and seal up Danwu College. Without my permission, no one is to leave the college. Ningyu took out a storage pouch from his bosom, which contained 2 million royal-grade origin crystals, and passed it to Mu Feng. We cannot accept these King-grade essence crystals. Mu Feng knew that there was no such thing as a free lunch. Just take it. They are Mu Tian's compensation to you. Ningyu's tone was unquestionable. In addition, try not to let anyone else know about the things that happened here. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Since Ningyu already said it like this, it would be a little unreasonable for Mu Feng to still decline. Keeping the storage bag, Mu Feng said in a clear voice, Ningyu's strength is obvious to everyone. I hereby announce that in the next month, Ningyu will assume the position of the acting dean of Danwu College. Whoosh. Mu Feng's appointment was absolutely shocking. Letting a junior assume the position of acting dean, this was the first time in history. But the strength that Ningyu displayed was indeed competent for the position of Danwu College's dean. In addition to the 2 million King-grade essence crystals that Ningyu generously took out, there was actually no one who objected for a moment. Dean Mu, letting me assume the position of dean, maybe. Ningyu did not expect that Mu Feng would let him be the dean, and he himself was a little dumbfounded. Let you be the dean, then be the dean. What's with all the nonsense? Mu Feng said unyieldingly. All right then, I'll temporarily be the acting dean for a month. After a month, I'll return the dean position to you. Ningyu knew Mu Feng's temper. He said helplessly, in the next 7 days, I'm going to the pill cavern to cultivate. If there's anything, contact me immediately. As he spoke, Ningyu took out a crystal ball and separated a wisp of soul force into it. As long as I crush the crystal ball, I'll come out of the pill cavern immediately. Swoosh. Leaving these words, Ningyu tore the void and flew towards the pill cavern first. Behind Ningyu, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast followed closely. As for Ouyang Lun, he was requested by Ningyu to stay behind to be in charge of Danwu College's safety. Elder Zhao, go seal off Danwu College. Before Ningyu exits seclusion, no one is allowed to enter or leave. Seeing that Ningyu disappeared, Mu Feng began to issue orders. The rest of you, come to my side to collect your king-grade essence crystals. Everyone has the same amount. Whoosh. Hearing Mu Feng's words, the surrounding students and mentors all revealed heated expressions. 2 million king-grade essence crystals, and there were only 30 to 40 people present. Converting it, everyone would get 50 to 60,000 pieces. In the past, it was very difficult for them to earn 50 to 60,000 pieces of king-grade essence crystals in their entire lives. Now, with a word from Ningyu, they would get their share. Hence, the numerous students and mentors would definitely support Ningyu. While everyone was distributing the king-grade essence crystals, in a dense forest outside the capital. Rustle. Suddenly, several figures tore through the void and landed in an empty area in the dense forest. Boom. The moment these figures landed, an abnormally terrifying aura instantly soared into the sky. If someone was in the surroundings, they would definitely discover that these martial artists' cultivation was very high. Among the 30 martial artists, the one with the lowest cultivation was at the half-step manifestation realm. Even the black-robed man in the lead had his aura surging out explosively. Peak late-stage manifestation realm. Chapter 744. Malevolence Sect Master, when will we attack the capital? An early-stage manifestation realm cultivator beside the black-robed cultivator asked carefully. There's no hurry. You've just advanced to the early stage of the manifestation realm not long ago. Stabilize your cultivation first. The black-robed martial artist waved his hand and said, Corpse Berserk has already gone to the capital ahead of us. You guys should stabilize your cultivation while waiting for good news from Corpse Berserk. Sect Master, although Corpse Maniac is the second heavenly king of the Corpse Yin sect, his cultivation is also at the early stage of the manifestation realm. The warrior at the early stage of the manifestation realm said, You guys are only responsible for stabilizing your cultivation. Don't think about anything else. The black-robed cultivator interrupted the early-stage manifestation realm cultivator and said in a deep voice, We'll leave immediately in 2 days and flatten the capital. Yes. Hearing the black-robed martial artist's words, the surrounding martial artists responded in unison. More than 30 pinnacle experts answered in unison. Their voices resounded through the heavens and into the distance. Whoosh. What these corpse sect cultivators didn't know was that their loud voices had attracted the attention of 2 cultivators not far away. Compared to these 2 martial artists, the black-robed martial artist's strength was not much different. Because the cultivation of these 2 martial artists was also at the peak of the late-stage manifestation realm, they should be people from the corpse sect. One of the 2 cultivators said, Should we deal with them? With our strength, even if we can capture all of them in one fell swoop, it will consume too much of our strength. The gains do not make up for the losses. Another slightly fatter cultivator said, If I'm not wrong, these cultivators should be the top fighting force of the corpse sect's branch. We can take advantage of the fact that their headquarters is empty to strike them. Good idea. The thin martial artist raised his eyebrows and said, According to my observation, these people from the corpse sect should be going to besiege the capital. The slightly plump martial artist continued, There's no time to lose. Let's set off as soon as possible. When the time comes, we can still rush back to watch the show. Whoosh. Whoosh. These 2 martial artists left as soon as they said they would, without the slightest bit of sloppiness. Ningyu had no idea what was happening outside the capital. At that moment, Ningyu had already entered the pill cave of Danwu College. Woof. Woof. As soon as Ningyu entered the pill cave, he heard 2 dogs barking. Needless to say, 2 dogs were barking. Sure enough, Ningyu looked up and saw that the Dark Emperor and Furball were neck and neck. The heaven-devouring hound is indeed heaven-defying. How long has it been and it has already recovered to its peak? Ningyu sighed softly as he sensed the auras emanating from the Dark Emperor and Furball. It was not surprising that he felt that Ning Yu. In such a short time, the Dark Sovereign and Furball had not only recovered to their peak condition, but their strength had even improved. Even if it was him, he wouldn't dare to say that he could reach this level. Chen is. Ning Yu first looked at the Dark Emperor and Furball, then at the sky above their heads. Ning ding king. 2. King. King. Ding. Ning 10 king. One had to know that Ning Yu had left the flower bud behind before he left the pill cavern. Ning Yu, I know you are looking for the world, you are looking for that thing. Follow me, King said when he saw Ning Yu's dark expression. Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast. Find a place to recover. I have something to do. Ning Yu also didn't want the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast to know that he had the branch of the world tree. He first gave a few instructions, then followed the Dark Emperor's guidance and flew into the distance. Remember, you owe each of us 2 Shenyang pills. Seeing that Ning Yu was about to leave, the silver-winged dragon shouted. And a rebirth pill. Twin-horned beast added. Swoosh. Ning Yu was focused on the branch of the world tree. Naturally, he did not reply to the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. Along the way, Ning Yu asked King what was going on. After you left, we tried our best to devour the light spots to recover. The Dark Emperor explained, just as we recovered to our peak state, a huge white speck of light tore through the void and appeared beside us. In order to protect us, the flower bud forcefully fought with the white speck of light. In the end, the white light spot was defeated and fled into the depths of the pill cave. Damn it. This is bad. There is a powerful pill puppet in the depths of the pill cave. Ning Yu cursed. Although Ning Yu was confident in the flower bud's devouring ability, he had never been to the depths of the pill cave. There might be a peak manifestation realm pill puppet. The flower bud only had 4 petals. There were still 4 petals that had yet to bloom. When devouring by Dai and the rest, Ning Yu already knew that the flower bud's devouring ability would grow stronger as the petals bloomed. If all 8 petals were in full bloom, Ning Yu would not be worried. That was because the flower bud could fight against a peak manifestation realm pill puppet. Now that the flower bud only had 4 petals, it might not be able to defeat a late manifestation realm pill puppet. Faster. Worried that the flower bud would encounter danger, Ning Yu did not hesitate to burn his vital energy to increase his speed. Ning Yu's speed had increased a lot after advancing to the yin-yang intermediate stage. Now that he forcefully increased his speed, the Dark Emperor and Furball could not keep up. Swoosh. Swoosh. The Dark Emperor and Furball were not idiots. They turned into a blur and entered the storage ring. Kai. The pill cave was huge. It was so huge that Ning Yu had flown for half an hour and had yet to reach the deepest part. However, as Ning Yu ventured deeper into the pill cave, the white and golden light spots around him gradually increased and became denser. In the end, the light spots completely blocked his path. Solitaire. Helpless, Ning Yu could only take out the red demon sword and slash out. Whoosh. An astonishing sword wave surged out, and the light spots in front of him were scattered. Just like that, Ning Yu slashed out every once in a while. When he slashed out for the 50th time, the area in front of him suddenly opened up. But Ning Yu's expression completely darkened. This was because Ning Yu saw that the flower bud was trapped in an array formation in mid-air not far away from him. Several huge light spots guarded around the flower bud, injecting energy into the array formation. Refine the flower bud. The goal of these light spots was very clear, and that was to refine the flower bud. Damn it. Before Ning Yu could say anything, the Dark Emperor and Furball rushed out from the storage ring to rescue the flower bud. Hold on. How could Ning Yu allow the Dark Emperor and Furball to mess around? He reached out and grabbed the Dark Emperor and Furball tightly before saying in a low voice, "Come out. If I'm not wrong, you should be the most powerful person in the pill cave, the evil king. I didn't expect you to even know my name. You are indeed not simple." As soon as Ning Yu finished speaking, the space in front of him rippled, and then a young woman in purple clothes slowly walked out from within. The young woman was around 20 years old. She wore a purple robe and had beautiful hair. Chapter 745. Purple Aura. Ningyu was not attracted by the young woman in front of him. Because Ningyu knew that everything was an illusion, everything was fabricated. What one heard might not be true, and what one saw might not be true. Jin Dai said that Evil King was the strongest pill puppet in the pill cave, and his cultivation had reached the late stage of creation. Now it seemed that Jin Dai was definitely lying. Because the aura of Evil King Purple Spirit in front of him was not the late stage of creation, but the peak of creation, I have to think of a way to save the flower bud. Ningyu's eyes turned, thinking of a countermeasure. Ningyu was very clear about his own situation. His current strength was not Evil King Purple Spirit's match. However, Ningyu did not give up. Since Evil King Purple Spirit did not attack him immediately, it meant that there were two possibilities. First, Evil King Purple Spirit was afraid of him. Of course, this possibility was very small. Second, Evil King Purple Spirit had a favor to ask of him. This possibility was very high. Thinking of this, Ningyu decided to test Evil King Purple Spirit, and said calmly, "Evil King Purple Spirit, tell me your request, what will make you release the flower bud?" He, it's easy to talk to smart people. Evil King Purple Spirit laughed lightly and said, "My request is not high. As long as you can successfully bring me out of the pill cave, I will release the flower bud." Bring you out of the pill cave? Ningyu raised his eyebrows. He did not expect Evil King Purple Spirit to make such a request. Pill puppets were intelligent beings born from the pill cave, and they had a powerful devouring ability. If they left the pill cave, it was very likely that they would cause unpredictable danger to the outside world. That's right. Bring me out of the pill cave. Evil King Purple Spirit nodded. I'm afraid it will be very difficult. I only have the cultivation of the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm. Even if I promise you, I do not have the strength. Ningyu shook his head and said, unless my cultivation rises to the late stage of Yin-Yang realm, or even the peak of Yin-Yang realm, then there will be a sliver of a possibility of bringing you out of the pill cave. That's simple. I don't have anything else, but I have a lot of energy spots. Evil Monarch Violet Spirit waved his hand, and several huge specks of light appeared in front of Ningyu. Some were white, some were gold, and there were more than 10 of them. Your cultivation is at the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm, and your soul force is at the late stage of level 6. I'll give you 2 days to improve your cultivation to the point where you can take me out of the elixir cave. Otherwise, I'll swallow the flower bud, and you'll die too. Voila. As soon as he finished speaking, Violet Spirit's eyes turned cold. He directly tore through the void and disappeared. When the Evil King Violet Spirit disappeared, the flower bud was also taken away, disappearing from the world. Remember, you only have 2 days. In order to remind Ningyu, after Evil Spirit King Violet Spirit disappeared, a voice still rang out in this area. Woof woof. After Evil King Violet Spirit left, Furball suddenly broke free from Ningyu's grasp and flew into the air. Furball. Holy shit. Seeing Furball fly out, Ningyu instinctively wanted to stop him. However, when Ningyu saw Furball's actions, he opened his mouth wide and was speechless. Furball did not want to fight Evil King Violet Spirit to the death. Instead, he was busy devouring the specks of light in the air. When Evil King Violet Spirit left, he did not take the dozen or so huge specks of light in the air with him. The intelligence of these dozen or so specks of light had already been wiped out by Evil King Violet Spirit, and all that was left was pure energy and soul force. The origin chi contained in each speck of light was comparable to Jin Dai and the others. Ningyu, let go of me. I'm going to F*King devour the specks of light too. Seeing Furball begin to devour the specks of light, the Dark Emperor shouted, as if the specks of light would be devoured by Furball if he was a step slower. Ningyu's face was full of black lines. It was not that Ningyu did not want Furball and the Dark Emperor to devour the specks of light, but Ningyu was not sure if Evil King Violet Spirit had done anything to these specks of light. Just think about it, if Evil King Violet Spirit had done something to these specks of light, wouldn't it be a wasted effort? Not only would they have to bring Evil King Violet Spirit out of the pill cavern, they would also have to be under his control. Furball, come back. Ningyu took a deep breath and berated, It's not that you can't devour the specks of light, but you have to wait for me to inspect them before you can devour them. Woof, woof. Hearing Ningyu's words, Furball looked up to the sky and barked twice, expressing his dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction was dissatisfaction, but Furball had no intention of disobeying Ningyu. He obediently returned to Ningyu's side and lay down, his eyes staring straight at the specks of light, afraid that they would be completely devoured by Ningyu. Since Furball had become obedient, the Dark Emperor naturally had no choice but to stay where he was. Whoosh! The Dark Emperor and Furball both stopped. Ningyu stomped his feet on the ground, arriving beside the dozen or so specks of light in the blink of an eye. He released his perception and carefully inspected them. Just a martial artist at the middle stage of the yin-yang realm. I don't believe you can discover anything. While Ningyu was inspecting the specks of light, in the void, Evil King Violet Spirit said darkly, "This body of yours is not bad. Once I successfully leave the pill cavern, I will possess you and enjoy your body." If Ningyu was beside him, he would definitely be very surprised. Because Evil King Violet Spirit was not a young woman, nor was he a beautiful woman, but a tall and sturdy man. The reason why Evil King Violet Spirit had disguised himself as a woman was largely to confuse Ningyu and make Ningyu lower his guard. After staying in the pill cavern for so long, Evil King Violet Spirit's intelligence had basically reached the peak, and he was abnormally cunning. There's something fishy going on. Evil King Violet Spirit was still mocking Ningyu, but Ningyu had already discovered something unusual. I have to say, Evil King Violet Spirit is very smart. Seeing a wisp of purple gas hidden in the specks of light, Ningyu's lips curled up slightly, and he thought to himself, "Since you want to control me so much, I'll beat you at your own game and see what tricks you're playing." Ningyu's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow as he controlled the storage ring to erupt with a suction force, sucking all the dozen or so specks of light in the air into the storage ring. Zun Jianwen, activate the array formation and expel that wisp of purple gas from the specks of light. Ningyu knew his own capabilities. Although he had discovered Evil King Violet Spirit's tricks, there was no way to expel the purple gas as soon as possible. Once it dragged on for too long, it would most likely attract Evil King Violet Spirit's attention. With Zun Jianwen's help, everything would be easily resolved. Buzz buzz. Zun Jianwen's movements were very fast, especially after he had the 2 million royal grade essence crystals provided by Ningyu. Things that required several hours in the past could be done in a few minutes now. Swish, swish, swish. 5 minutes later, several huge specks of light rushed out from the storage ring. These specks of light were divided into 4 portions. 2 portions were kept by Ningyu, and the other 2 portions were devoured by the Dark Emperor and Furball. Of the 2 portions of specks that Ningyu left behind, one was a white speck of light, and the other was a golden speck of light. Inside the white speck of light was pure essence chi, and inside the golden speck of light was pure soul force. Devour. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.